Leash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is On Leash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is On Leash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is On Leash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? BT Unleashed. Yeah, let's get it. We got a monster show today. I'm absolutely pumped up. J-Rod is pumped up. We got a little WBC. We've got a lot of March Madness. Joe Beningo said some really interesting things about WFAN. I'm going to get into that as well. J-Rod, what's going on there, buddy? How is my guy, Jay? Look at him. Look at J-Rod.
What's up? How we doing, Unleashed fan? Great weekend of sports, great games.
Yeah, all is good. We've got a little news to share.
Yes,
and this is good. This is a little benchmark here. Look at this. Da da da, but da da. We got 1 million views there, so that I wanted to get that out of the gate here. No, I'll keep it up a little longer now. Let's celebrate the moment a little bit. I mean, jeez, we started with, when you start with no subscribers and no watched hours and, nothing, and basically you got to figure out how to do this thing and have my son produce the first week of the show because he was home for Christmas break and I had no producer. And the first show was in my basement with Wi-Fi and no mic, with bad Wi-Fi and no microphone. And it was, wow. To this, and we're obviously still building this thing out, but really, guys, I don't want to belabor this, but it's not because of me, it's because of you. All right, you guys have followed me. It gets stronger, it gets bigger, it grows, it becomes more and more, I think, immersed within all of the other platforms out there. We made national news twice last week. The interview with Kay, where Michael talked about the politics and how he thought it really hurt his show. And then we made national news with Donnie Pucks. Don LaGreca came on and said that he should have been more aggressive trying to get his name on the show. So we're off and running. That means the world to me. It's just a little thing. Now you can get that off there. As I look at I'm definitely more of a windshield guy than a rear view mirror guy.
Yes, sir.
But I wanted to acknowledge that. Thank you very much, man. And again, I think down the road, I'll look back and I'll say, wow, 1 million views. You made a big deal out of that. Big damn deal. But right now for me and right now for the channel and right now for us, you better believe it's a big deal. So awesome. Okay. All right. It's going to be a very unique week here. So first of all, I know that St. John's got hosed, and we're going to do a lot of March Madness coming up in a bit. I want to start with the WBC. We'll get to the Beningo stuff. J-Rod, I got to figure this out because I got the word from St. John's over the weekend that if they did fly out west, if they were going to get that, that west seat out there, or at least playing the west, that they were going to leave on Tuesday, even if they were, so no matter when they were playing, I'm like, ooh, okay, that's fine. It's San Diego. I'm going to have a good time, but we got to figure stuff out here because now I got to do the show on the road.
You might just have to put the laptop up when the game's going down and just have like a little shot of you reacting to the game.
God. That would be money. That would be phenomenal. We get the most hits ever on that, but I'm worried about some copyright infringement.
Yeah, big time.
I know you're kidding, but I can't pack this microphone because it's drilled to my home office desk. I got to figure this out, and I will. We'll do a lot of content from the road, maybe shorter variety. Obviously, catch up with Minko. I'm going to be out there with, and we'll do a lot of fun stuff, but I do have to figure some stuff out. That's something J-Rod and I will have to do. All right, let's get to the WBC. Right now, I'd be lying if I said I always loved it, like it was there, and I'd parachute in, I would parachute out a little bit. The more that it's meant to the United States, the more I've enjoyed this. It's always meant the world to the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and Japan. It's turned into a really good event. And I got to tell you, sitting down last night to watch that game, no hyperbole, no bullshit. That was the most excited that I ever was to watch a non-Yankee game. I swear to God, like I was so jacked to start the game. You got Skeens on the bump. You've got the energy of the Dominican Republic, who very early in the game broke a WBC record with their 15th home run. And the crazy thing, first of all, hats off to the Team USA. Awesome. And DeRosa, who, was under fire last week, managed a pretty good game. And, I very rarely take you through the mechanics of the game. Like, well, in the first inning, this happened. I really don't even want to do that, but I almost have to for a second, because last night there was basically something awesome. Like if you love baseball, there was something awesome in every single inning, just about. First of all, again, you got Skeens on the bump. You got Severino. All right, well, Severino's not Skeens, but I mean, he was ticking 99 right away, and they had the stats up there with this velo from a year ago. He was a good 2-3 miles per hour faster than last year on his average. So you know that he was hopped up. You know that the Dominicans, they just did the pure joy and the celebrations and the energy and the bounce and the swag. A little more of an understated presentation by Team USA. And then Caminero hits that home run, and not a cheapie there. I'm like, ooh, Skeens got touched up, not great. And this is what's interesting, right? So you had theater right there. Then you go to the top of the third, and Team USA's down 1-0. You got a couple of guys on second and third. You have Aaron Judge up and Schwarber, ground ball to the right side, sack fly, get a run. You don't think they're going to get many more off the Skeens, and they didn't. But Judge didn't come through, and Schwarber didn't come through. They both whipped, but high drama, right? Then you get to the bottom of the third, and Tatis is gunned down to third base by Aaron Judge. Boom. Nice baseball play. Then you get to Gunnar Henderson going deep. You get to how good is Roman Anthony going to be? My God almighty. Roman Anthony goes yard. And the crazy thing about that, and again, DeRosa took a lot of heat. He sat down Bregman, and not that Bregman's been playing great in the WBC, but, great fielder, veteran, champion, clutch guy. You trust him up there late. He sat him down. He put Gunnar at third, as you know. And he did that because his numbers against Severino were money. I think he was 7 for 11 with a couple of bombs. So, he played the hunch, and he also played the numbers there too. But he did something that I'm not sure that every manager would have done. Bang, gets automatically rewarded. Phenomenal. Now you get to the bottom of the fourth. Team USA's up 2-1. Austin Wells, bases juiced, flies out to left field. Drama. Then you get to the top of the fifth. I thought he got it. We all thought he got it. Judge robbed by Julio Rodriguez. And what a call. What a call when you hear, Spider-Man robbing Superman. Just phenomenal stuff. And that ball was going to go over. Now, I mean, listen, there's been better plays, robbing home runs, Griffey, some Devon White, some sick stuff, right? But that would have gone over the fence. And given the tie, given Judge, given, the backdrop, the energy in the stadium, phenomenal play, right? Then you go to bottom five. First and second, Skeens is pulled. You're bringing Tyler Rogers, who's throwing totally different stuff. Right? Hey, keep that up there. I'll get to it, Jay. Totally different stuff than what Skeens is pumping up, who's got like 6 or 7 pitches, throwing 99. Tyler Rogers comes in, throws an 81-mile-per-hour sinker. Soto taps into a double play after Skeens is pulled. Drama. Then you go to the bottom of the seventh, second and third, 2-1 USA. Bednar's end of, Bednar walking that tightrope. Tatis, whiff. Then you have Marte, whiff, and Bednar was pumped up. And then obviously to wrap it up, you got bottom 9 tying run on third base, 2-1 USA. Boom, punch out. So now you've got Venezuela and Italy on that side, and then you got Team USA trying to bring this home. And listen, one thing that I don't do, like if you're not into something, I'm not going to try to shove it down your throat. Like if you're not into the Big East tournament, which if you're not, and you're from the Northeast, I don't know how you're not into the Big East tournament, but if you're not into the Big East tournament, hey, I think you're missing out. If you're not into, say, the Masters or the U.S. Open, I think you're missing out. If you're not into elements of March Madness, the expansion, the first four, whatever, it's not the same as it used to be when I was young because of the transfer portal and the NIL. Fine, that's your opinion. I respect it. So I'm not going to shove the WBC down your throat. I'm just telling you how I've evolved. It's become more and more viable. It's become more and more drama-filled. The players take it seriously. And what else could you ask for? I mean, really, from a baseball point, and I've checked in on the Yankees, and I've checked in on the Mets, right? Just to see what's going on in Tampa and Port St. Louis, some of the story, and St. Lucie, some of the stories, like Ben's trying to win the right field spot and some other things, right? But you talk about a high level, high stakes, drama that is all rooted in pride and energy. You've had players. Now, I know that this bothers people, and this isn't the first year it's been said. You've had players. I don't know if an American has said this, and if they have, I'm not trying to gloss over it. I just don't think I've ever heard it, but I've heard some of the international players say that they view the WBC as a championship more meaningful than winning the World Series. Now, you don't really want to hear that, but I'm not going to push back because I can't relate to their pride in their country. I've got a lot of pride in our country, but it's different with some of the Latin countries, and the Latin countries really just spice this up, man. So if you don't like it, great. There was a point, admittedly, where I'm like, it's a little contrived, like a lot of things that just start, even the NBA Cup, whatever. That's never going to have this kind of energy because it's just different. But I thoroughly enjoyed it so far. And let's win the freaking thing. Let's go. Let's go, red, white, and blue. I'd love to play Italy. Do I think Italy's going to win? I mean, at this point, I'm not going to say no. They're on this magic ride, but it was a lot of fun. And just to reiterate, and I mean this, outside of Yankee games and even Met playoff games, like when I'm watching for work, whatever, I have never sat down with the anticipation that I had for last night's baseball game. This is going to sound crazy. It was on par with me getting wanting to know where I'm traveling with St. John's. And by the way, St. John's got hosed. They got hosed. We'll get to that in a little bit. What a weekend, man. What an absolutely awesome weekend. That was not a strike. It was a pickoff attempt at China. No, I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, do we have to keep that up that long? Get it off there. I don't even know. J-Rod, did you at least check in a little bit, bud?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I caught a couple innings. I caught when I think it was Skeens. He struck out Tatis. Or no, Tatis got the single, the first base. They were like man on first and second, and then they got the outs. So yeah,
you're not talking about the bottom of the seventh when there was 2-1 USA.
No, it was bottom of the fourth into top of the fifth, I think.
Yes, that's when Skeens was pulled. That's when Rogers came in and got Soto to tap out.
Yep.
Listen, everything about it's been phenomenal. It translates to TV. There's energy. Listen, I had a chance. I told you, I think I mentioned this once. I went to Santo Domingo. All right. Now, I'll never forget this. I was in college. It was like a group of us, not with my university, but a group of players. And we went to the Dominican Republic for about, I think we were there a good week or so, right? Okay. And it was by far the most amazing baseball experience I've ever had. And it was so amazing for a lot of reasons. Number, the competition was phenomenal. We did well, but nobody cares about that. The stadiums were just so unique. I remember actually getting off the team bus, true story. And this young Dominican boy, God, J-Rod, he had to be 8. Didn't have sneakers. It was like milk cartons as shoes. True story.
Whoa.
Yeah, and he was actually offering, and I didn't understand what he was saying, but he wound up pointing and almost like feigning like how you would polish something. He was basically asking us if he could polish our cleats to make money. I mean, I only had a few bucks on me, but I absolutely. And it was just awesome. Like, just the stands are so unique, man. Like the cowbells and the Dominican flags. It's like I love what they do. I love it, man. They turn it into almost like a football, soccer, basketball environment. And all you had to do, and I'm talking about the first inning, all you had to do was when they panned the crowd and you saw those Dominican fans with their DR jerseys and their hats, like first inning, reacting to a strikeout or a base hit, whatever it was, the home run, the look in their eyes, man, the intensity, it matters. And again, I'm not going to try to sell anybody on it. It has really turned into, for me, an awesome event that I now really enjoy. I love it.
There we go.
I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It gives a bit of an Olympic feel to the game of baseball, I'll say. Yeah,
I think the difference, I think it's better than the Olympics. Really? I really do. I do.
I mean, not that I tuned in really much to the Olympics this year at all.
I don't care about the Olympics. I don't. Like some of the events, I do. I watch some of the golf. I started to watch that when they implemented that a couple of years ago. Obviously, I'll always watch the basketball. The gymnastics is amazing because those young ladies are phenomenal. Yeah. Like what they do, some of the stuff they do is crazy. Like you start to get some of the summer activities like the pole vault. Like it's so hard. Like how could you not watch with intrigue? But I don't know. I think I know all these players. It's really like one of the things, think about this, Jay. To me, it's really like an all-star game on steroids, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you look at all the all-star games, football, I don't even know what it is anymore. Like it went from, playing real football and hitting. Yeah. I remember, Tiki telling me that he was telling, who was it? Was it Ray? It was somebody where he was getting tackled in the Pro Bowl and he was like, hey, just lay me down gently as he was getting tackled, right? But even a couple of years before Tiki and way before that, like they would play with ferocity. They would play with purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was I don't know, flag, a beach football, and the kid Edwards from the Pats. Remember he shredded his knee?
Yeah.
They had to stop that. There's I don't even know what it is. It's like a glorified flag football fest, so it's terrible. I don't even know what they do or where it is. Don't care. The NBA, for a while, it was still really enjoyable, but it's become an absolute joke. I don't know the exact scores of hockey, but I remember for years it was like 11-8, 9-7. To me, at least the baseball All-Star game really truly does represent, I think it represents like the closest approximation to what it's really like when you play the actual game. Because guys are still throwing 95, guys are still swinging hard, guys are still chasing balls and pursuing balls with vigor, trying to make plays. They're still throwing peas across the diamond. Like it looks like baseball. So this to me is the ultimate all-star game that includes the world, and it's so good for the growth of the game. You know, there's some people who don't love it. That's fine. You know, process it how you will. I'm into it, man. Officially.
Quick side swipe. So do you think that those players, you know, comparatively from like baseball to football, all-star games, do you think it's because there's like less of a tendency for like a crazy career debilitating injury within baseball that players kind of keep up a similar play style in their all-star game or WBC Classic compared to like the other all-stars?
I don't know. Listen, I'm telling you how I feel from my point of view. If I was a general manager, you know, and I'm running the Pirates, do I really need to see Paul Skeens out there before St. Patty's Day dialing things up against probably the best lineup in the history of baseball anywhere? Certainly 1 through 7 or so. I mean, to navigate that Dominican lineup, wow. I mean, it's just dog, stud. It's insane. So I don't know. Maybe baseball players are I don't want to say wired a little differently, but I can't explain it. I don't know. I do think a lot of it is rooted in pride. I do.
Definitely.
I do. Like when you grow up in Japan and you're a baseball player, your process is very different than, say, in America. Now, it doesn't mean that like a lot of Americans don't work hard, but like in Japan, they practice a lot more than they actually play games.
Yeah.
And in the Dominican Republic and, you know, Puerto Rico and other Latin areas, like they really are fighting to get off the island. Like there's an old expression. Hey, you walk. You don't get off the island by walking. You get off the island by raking. You get off the island by putting balls in the seat and hammering balls on the screws in the gap. So it's like in a lot of ways they're fighting for their lives. Yeah. And even when they get those exorbitant contracts, that doesn't fade. So they don't lose their connection to their homeland, which I think what has happened now is that's kind of pushed us a little bit to view it a little bit more seriously and through a more competitive prism. Yeah. Like we might not celebrate as much. We might process things a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a business approach, at least what they put out. I don't know that that's like a broad brush and a stereotype, but it is. I mean, the Dominican team celebrates, you know, everything, and their presence is, I mean, it's palpable. Team USA, a little different. And that's how we do business, and that's how they do business. And it's a great contrast, but the pride that is burning, you know, within Harper and Judge and Schwarber and Skeens and Witt, who has made some sick plays at shortstop. It's been a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it. That's only one thing on the table. We got a lot to do today. Wait till I get into the stuff about what Joe B said about the fan. You saw that?
It's going to be spicy. Yes, sir. Yeah. First saw the tweet, and then you sent over the quote. Man.
I've got a lot of opinions on that.
I'm sure you do.
I've got a lot of opinions on that, which I will obviously get to. All right, so let's get to the Johnnies. Now, first of all, and I said this on the air the other night with Mink, I don't know what it sounded like, you know, because I wasn't there, when Hulk Hogan pinned the Iron Sheik to win the championship, you know, and Hulkamania was born, and then obviously WrestleMania and all that stuff at the Garden. I wasn't there. But I don't know that it could have sounded much better and louder and different. And it's that perfect combination of like energy and anger and anticipation and territoriality. You name it, that place was on fire on Saturday night. And St. John's just kicked the crap out of UConn, just destroyed them. So I was surprised when the seeding came out. I was surprised and I was disappointed, all right? But I'm also of the mindset, quit crying. Now, St. John's isn't crying about it. A lot of fans are. I get it. You want to know, like, that. I also should probably say that I don't mean the diehards, but there's a lot of people at this time of the year who kind of jump in now, and their first reaction is, and it's a fair one. I'm not saying it's off base. Like, wait a second. So St. John's won the Big East tournament. St. John's won the regular season championship. St. John's had a net ranking, which is an important thing, of 17 inside the top 20. They had a Ken Palm ranking of 17. They won 19 of 20 games to finish the year. They were ranked 13th in the country going into the weekend. And they played UConn, who's a 2 seed, and has been top 5 and top 10 all year, and they beat them 2 out of 3 times. So why is St. John's a 5 seed? Well, I mean, there's a couple of things at play here. Number one, the Big East is really down. And when you look at UConn's resume, they have more quad 1 success. And there's a reason why the quad 1 matters. Now, I'm not the ultimate arbiter here. I do think it's a little unfair that they're a 5 seed. I do. What I think is patently offensive is that they're shipping them out to California. That doesn't make any sense. Like, in my mind, I'm saying when they beat UConn and the manner in which they beat them, right? Not to mention, St. John's didn't trail in the entire Big East tournament. They went in and they whacked Providence. They went in and they whacked Seton Hall. They went in and they dismantled UConn. Boom, boom, boom. So I thought that they would be more justly rewarded, but they weren't. So, it is what it is. I think the thing that's a little bit unfair is really the location again. And I was just trying to plot this out in my own mind as I was getting ready for, all right, so what do I think is going to happen with travel? Where are we going to go? When do you think we'll leave? And I was told that we were going to leave early. Like, if they did get shipped out west and they played Friday, we were leaving Tuesday, which we are, as I said before. Leave tomorrow night. So not that I'm complaining and not that you guys really care. You just want the content. I get it. I get to go on a charter plane to San Diego. I'm not going to complain much. I mean, geez, J-Rod. I mean, if I'm complaining about, let's just hold on. Let's just get a little reality. Thank God I've remained completely grounded as I've gotten older. Like, I haven't changed at all with that, and I never will. If I was complaining today, I mean really complaining, oh, we got to go to San Diego, 83 degrees and sunny. You got a thermostat over the entire city. And I haven't been to San Diego in a minute. It's been a while. It's been like 20 years. I get to go. It's not like I got to take a connecting flight out of JFK. I drive my car to a private airport, and I walk on a charter plane and have food waiting for me. And I have 2 big seats, and I could sleep, I could read, I could do music, I could do work, which I'll do all 4 of those, and then go to a beautiful hotel for a couple nights. If I complain about and get a chance to call NCAA tournament games again, if I'm complaining about that, it is time to leave the business, because that is a phenomenal few days.
Yeah,
it really is.
No, I mean, that's obviously not a vacation, but that's a nice trip.
No, it's a vacation.
That's a nice trip. There we go.
It's a vacation. Hey, I don't have to go and practice. I just got to go and do the games.
True.
You know what I mean? Now, I'll go to the shoot-arounds, and I'll go to the walkthroughs, and, I might sit. Rick's a little different. See, when Mullen was the coach, and others as well, they would let Mink and I sit in on, like, the way it goes when you're on the road with a college team. They have like a big spread for all the meals, right?
Okay.
And it's usually in a conference room. And I mean, the eggs, the pancakes, the bacon, the sausage, the apple juice. I mean, the protein shakes. I mean, the granola. It's full spread.
Everything.
And when you're eating, that's when they roll in the big TV and they just have it on loop, and they've already done their scouting, and the players are eating and watching, and they splice it up. So it's literally play, 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 play. The video coordinators do that.
Yeah.
And they're just watching who they're playing, and they're just getting a better sense of what's coming their way. Rick doesn't let us do that.
Okay.
We can eat, but we've got to be, a little bit after the team, and doesn't want us to watch film, which is fine. Every coach has their process. I have no problem with that. But really, outside of calling the actual games, they'll be having a margarita. Some Mexican food. What am I going to be doing, man? Do nothing.
Exploring San Diego. How about that?
I got to see Mink with a margarita in him.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, it is horse shit. It really is. When you look at this again, Just listen to the resume. Big East regular season champs, Big East tournament champs. Oh, net, I said 17. I'm sorry. Net of 16, 17 Ken Palm, beat UConn 2 out of 3 times. They won 19-20, and he's shipping them out west. Now, as I was starting, I said this before, as I was starting to structure my week here, part of me was like, well, it would be easier if they're placed in Philly, because then I don't have to go down a day early. I could do an extra show from my office and then figure things out on the road. I could drive down to Philly like I drove up to Providence last year, and WFAN wound up getting me a radio station, like the sports station up in Providence, and I did that Thursday and Friday show with Sal. I was on location in Providence. Sal was obviously back in New York. So I'm like, all right, Philly would be appealing. Buffalo's a quick trip, but, you know, I've been to Buffalo, kind of want to see something new. Tampa would be great. Go hang out with my guy Booney, catch up with the Yankees, maybe get around the golf in, which I guess I could still do in San Diego. But, geez, I'm going to go out there and shoot a 109 on some nice course in San Diego. Hey, funny story for you, J-Rod. You're going to laugh at this.
Yeah, what's up?
All right, so when was it? Oh, God. Oh, let's see. I moved to Las Vegas, my second radio job.
Got it.
This is how I view my life. My wife, I've got it chronologically seared in my brain when I graduated college, when I got my first radio job, and then obviously I know every single stop that I've been at, so I'm able to very quickly remember where I was. Anyway, and I remember celebrating New Year's Eve 2000. Remember Y2K? Well, you don't. Everybody was scared of Y2K. I was on the Strip. I was actually on the Strip hanging out in Las Vegas. Anyway, so hold on, what is this? Is that something I'm going to want to read here? Hang on.
Yes.
What do we got? Pop that up real fast. Pop that up there. What do we got? Okay, I can get to that after.
Yeah. Tell the story and then we'll pop it back up.
Hang on. Okay. So Vegas, I'm almost I can't tell that story. That's why I'm like, there's one, but I got to leave part of it out. Right?
I see.
I'm trying to navigate this in my mind, and I'm like, I got to leave one part out. And this part I can tell you. So I'm in Vegas.
Sure.
And I remember the year, I guess it was, I get there for 2000. I think it was 2001. Long story short, by the way, that's going to be a new segment, long story short. Because I said, although it should really be short story long. That's really what it should be. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding, J-Rod? It's got to be short story long.
There was a comment last episode. I was dying. It was like, this dude just loves like the soliloquies.
I can't help it. I know. Short story long with BT. Anyway, short story long. So in Las Vegas, I rented a house with 3 of the guys that I worked with at the radio station, right? And I mean, that was the story. I was going to tell you one of the stories, but I'm not. So we're like, I'm like, I have to see Tony Gwynn hit in person before he retires. And he had announced his retirement. So we're in Nevada, and I'm like, yo, let's drive to San Diego. Let's go. So we get in my truck. We drive, me, my buddy Chad, Ray, and Steve, and myself, go to San Diego, having a sick time, listening to music. We get a little Fleabag motel. None of us have any money. Sure. And we get the cheapest there. So they're playing the Atlanta Braves, right? So
got it.
It was maybe say like a Wednesday night, and we get 5. This is where the Chargers used to play football at Qualcomm. All right. So we have the money. We get $5 seats behind home plate, like in the second level, like the football, maybe even third, $5. Just banging back beers, going nuts, whatever. And then Lord knows what we did that night. The next day, they're playing a doubleheader against the Braves. And Maddox is pitching, and I think Glavine got the second start. I actually got a baseball from Greg Maddox, but that's not the story. So the first night, now the whole purpose of the trip is to go to San Diego to see Tony Gwynn swing a bat in person. Because aside from Ted Williams, he's the most gifted, skilled technician and surgeon to ever touch a piece of wood and try to hit a spherical object. Me, I got to see Tony hit. So we got a little delayed. We were doing whatever we were doing. And we're in the parking lot of Qualcomm, and we're getting ready to walk into the stadium. And I hear, now batting for the Padres, right fielder Tony Gwynn.
Oh, my gosh.
This is first at bat. Come on, right? So I'm like, shit. I was like a little bit annoyed, but not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So now we settle in. We get another beer. We go up to the upper deck behind the plate. Again, short story long. Somebody hits a ball down the right field line. He's chasing it, pulls his hamstring. He's out for a month and a half. I never get to see him hit. I never got
Oh
to
my
see him.
gosh.
Yes. The one at bat, when I went, I was in the parking lot walking into the stadium. And then when we get in there, I see him make a defensive play. He comes up limping, and he's gone. I think he missed like a month or two. Like it was kind of a serious hamstring
That
pull.
is
Jeez.
insane, dude.
That's the last time I was in San Diego. That's
wow.
the last time.
Well, let's hope for some better luck this time around.
Yeah, listen, I'll do this more a little bit tomorrow. But you look at the matchup here. Northern Iowa is an interesting one. Listen, St. John's obviously supposed to win this. I saw they're 10.5-point favorites. I don't get too wrapped up in that. Number one, because I call the games and I would never touch that stuff doing games that I call. But, spreads in the NCAA tournament don't mean a whole lot to me. All right. Because I've seen St. John's offense in the half court struggle enough to know that, if it's the wrong night and the other team's banging in triples, and if it's a bad matchup in terms of style, I'm not even saying that it is, but you take nothing for granted. So it's going to be a tough battle, and they're a buttoned-up defensive team, and they're going to talk about Northern Iowa, and they're going to look to take the air out of the ball. And St. John's wants to get up and down and play at a good pace. So it is an interesting contrast. That's the first thing that I see. The next thing that I see would be if St. John's is able to win that first game, and they should. Now you got to go through Kansas, and that's where Zuby was. So, and they always do this stuff. Like, they always try to look for stories and try to make it like cute and like, oh, remember this coach, this rivalry here. And hey, if this team advances and that team advances, oh, remember when this happened back in the day? I actually kind of like that they do that. And I think Kansas is beatable. I think St. John's is actually better than Kansas. That doesn't mean they're going to win. Doesn't mean Kansas is going to win their matchup. But it does equate to some real theater. And it's an absolute beast of a region, which we'll get into a little bit after with our 3 burning questions coming up in a bit. Not yet. And then you just look at this magical ride, and it's amazing. I was saying to Mink the other day, during, I guess this would have been during the Seton Hall game, I think, on the air. I found the stat. I don't even know who found it. Otherwise, I would give them credit. St. John's is 42-4 in Big East play under Rick Pitino, like in their last 46.
Wow,
something
man.
crazy. I mean, it's just it's amazing what this guy's done and how fast he's done it. Who do you like in the Final Four in regards to baseball and any chance of the Subway Series watch party? Willie, I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, 2 very different things. I'll do the Final Four stuff. I'll give you that tomorrow. I want to let it breathe a little bit. I can't come out and fire all the bullets today. Take it easy. I will get there. I promise you, Willie, and thank you for that. Good super chat. Thank you. Subway Series watch party. Matter of fact, we're working on something now. I remember talking to Sal about this. I asked him if he was free, and he is. So it hasn't come to fruition in terms of the contract yet. So I'm not going to announce anything. I think there's a good chance it will happen, where it will be me and Sal at an awesome spot in New Jersey. Right now, it's supposed to be that Friday, the first Friday of the Subway Series. But again, no contract signed. I'd say we're inside the 20. Like, we're just getting inside the red zone. I think it's going to happen. But I'm not going to put business out there if it's not. Some of you think I'm nuts. And that's fine, because it's subjective. That's fine. But like, one thing I got to call people out. Not by name, but some of you are such shallow thinkers that it's actually pathetic. What do you mean by that? I'll tell you. So when you put a tweet out there, and I'll read some of the comments. I really don't care. Sometimes I'll read. I will. I really don't care anything that's negatively written about me. Don't care. I used to. I fully transparent with that. It used to bother me. Doesn't matter at all. Don't care. Don't care. Love the support. Appreciate the support. The haters. It's fuel. It's all good. Some people get personal. I just keep it moving. Never respond. Whatever. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about people who seemingly lack the intellect, the ability to have depth in their mind to process something that I write. And I might be pretty convoluted with some of the stories I tell, short story long. I'll give you that. In terms of writing, I mean, I'm pretty freaking succinct. It's very rare that you don't know what I mean when I write. Like that's I could do that in my sleep and communicate a thought. And yet some of you bozos still don't understand it. I'm kidding, but you just don't. So when I put a tweet out like, Rick Pitino's the greatest head coach in the history of college basketball, which, by the way, I believe. It's fine to refute that. Of course, it's subjective. There's a lot of other names. What about John Wooden? What about Adolph Rupp at Kentucky? What about, you want to say, Jim Calhoun at UConn with 3 championships? What about Coach K, obviously? What about Bobby Knight? Perfect season back in 76, the great team with Steve Alford. I understand. I get it. I'm not saying my answer is right, but the response is, this is the shallowness that drives me insane. Coach K's got more wins. No shit, he's got more wins. Like, the bottom line assessment by some of you, it's annoying. It annoys me because some of you, not all of you, some of you are unable to just get past the first little speed bump and have an intelligent dissection of a topic where there's no right or wrong answer and actually point to stuff and incorporate that in your pushback. So-and-so's got more wins. So-and-so's got more championships. Dude, wow. You know an element of history. You're amazing. Like, and this happens a lot. Aaron Judge is, and I believe this, but it doesn't mean that I'm right. Aaron Judge is the greatest baseball player that I've ever seen. No World Series. He can't be. He's not. What? Like, the inability to separate certain things is, it really is. It's actually sad. So anyway, just had to get that out there. Now I'll tell you why Rick Pitino is the greatest college coach in the history of college basketball. Now, first, let's take a little history lesson here. And when you do stuff like this, and I said this with the Hall of Fame that came up the other day on the show, like, invariably you wind up denigrating others, and that's not my intention. I'm not to elevate. I'm going to tell you why I believe Rick is that guy, but it's not going to, like, oh, let me take a shot at Wooden to tear him back, or Coach K. No, I'm going to provide some context here. Would you please understand one thing? Now, John Wooden won as much as any. I mean, John Wooden, the ultimate winner. You know, I know all the numbers. Trust me. I know that Coach K's got more wins. I know. John Wooden did it clean. John Wooden had a money man. UCLA used to pay people. Look it up. All right. They like this thought that it was the cleanest operation. They just got the best players, and they had this tremendous connectivity. And John Wooden was the greatest strategist and the greatest motivator in the history of college basketball. He had Lou Alcindor. He had Bill Walton. All right. That's not to take away from them, because he got them. They had a money man. All right. Coach K, phenomenal, dude. Phenomenal. Jim Calhoun. If I got to win one game, honestly, if I can't pick Pitino, I really might pick Jim Calhoun, because I knew that they were tough and good, and he was a great coach, and they were going to be ready, right? Coach K, outside of Army, with all due respect, I love West Point, you know that, coached at one spot. See, to me, greatness is also about being adaptable and transforming and changing with the times. So let me just take you on a little journey. Rick Pitino, I'm not going to even get into Boston University, and Rick did great things there as well. And respect to BU, the Terriers, but I got to start a little bit after that. So when he goes to Providence, the 3-point shot is introduced. Everybody's like, that's not a successful shot. That's not a good high rate of efficiency. We can't play basketball that way. We need to dump it into the post. I don't know why I always talk like that when I'm trying to talk like an old coach. I don't know why, but I do think that it gets the message. It's like my antiquated older voice that's resistant to change. I don't know if it works, but that's what I do, right? No, boy, we got to set those down screens, and we got to pump it into the big down low. Let's go. 5 passes before we shoot. All right. Rick comes out and says, no, I got my own math here. So we're going to embrace the shot. And if we miss a bunch, but we make a couple, that math is better than you going for 2 every game. So first of all, he was the first true pioneer to embrace the 3-point shot. Check. Now, the fact that he's done it, and I'll just throw BU on the table for a minute. The fact that he's done it basically everywhere, whether it's a small school like BU, whether it's a smallish Providence school in a monster without comparison at that point, best conference by far in the world, right? Get that team to the Final Four, and then go, I'm forgetting about the Celtics and the Knicks, even though we did very well with the Knicks. But then he goes to Kentucky, and one more inch, and the plug would have been pulled on their program, and they would have had no basketball, and they would have got the death penalty. And he goes, and he wins a championship. He revives them immediately. First year, no scholar. Like, it's just what he did there was insane. Then he basically does the same at Louisville. Then he goes to St. John's, and nobody knows this more than me. The brand was dead. The basketball program, it was over. It was a wrap. The only thing that we had about St. John's was history. Oh, and I love it, but it gets old. Hey, remember when Chris Mullin did this? Yeah, I do. I'd like to remember something else here. I'd like to reference something else. Remember when Walter Berry blocked Pearl? Yep. I remember. I was 11. I was in the car. I heard the game with my dad. Ron Rowan hit the baseline jump shot. Walter Berry, 86 Big East championship, finally ran down the court to play defense and swatted Pearl from behind. I remember. Yes. Remember when Mark Jackson was drafted in the first round and went to the Knicks and he was the rookie of the year? Yes, I remember. I used to have the same Nike Dunks that Mark had, and we used to do the same thing in CYO that he used to do. I remember, the late, great, love him, Malik Sealy. Yes. I remember Malik swooping to the hole and looking like a ballerina, scoring more than 2,000 points at St. John's. I remember. We all remember. But we also remember where St. John's went from every kid had a starter jacket, unless you were rocking the Hoyas, and that's just the way it was. And every kid had red and white Nike Dunks. Every kid. And everybody wanted to be Chris Mullin. And everybody loved Louis like he was, even if you were Irish, he was your grandfather. That's what it felt like, right? And then it disappeared. Like I can go to Modell's, or this is before like some of these other, like before Dick's, go to Modell's, go to Herman's in Kings Plaza, get Johnny's gear. I remember being in Sports Authority when I was in college looking for a St. John's hoodie. I saw UConn, I saw Duke, I saw Michigan, I saw everything. So Arizona, Mike Bibby, Miles Simon, Lute Olson. In New York, there was nothing for St. John's. And I know that he's been able to restore St. John's because of the money. I get that. Understood. But Kentucky spent $22 million on their roster this year. I know Kentucky beat St. John's earlier in the year. You tell me you had the better season. St. John's or Kentucky? St. John's. All right. And all of these different things, the adaptability and the embracing early of the three-point shot, conference realignment. When he was at Louisville, the Big East was one way. When he was St. John's now, it's another way. All right. 5 different schools, the portal, the NILs. And here's the crazy part about Rick Pitino. The best thing, I really believe this, aside from like motivation and all that stuff, I think that Rick's greatest trait as a coach is truly player development. And now you've got to do it in a microwave setting. Because back in the day, like Donovan Mitchell at Louisville, come in, and Rick's told the story, his mechanics wasn't really pure shooter. Well, guess what? He's not leaving after 1 year because he's frustrated because he didn't play or he didn't play well. He's not leaving after 1 year because school-wise is going to give him $575,000 more than Louisville. You know what I mean? With the NIL. He's not looking to bounce. He's staying. And when he's in that Rick Pitino laboratory every single day, look at him now, one of the best players in the NBA. Now, that's because of him and him putting the work in. He said it, so I don't think I'm out of school saying it. Without Rick Pitino, he's not this good because he showed him the way. And without Rick Pitino, Zuby is not this good. Just not. He averaged 2.5 points a game at Kansas, didn't play. Bill Self looked at him like, I got a good athlete at the end of the bench, 6'9", could run, could jump. He ain't playing much for me. Instead, he goes down as an icon, a titan of the St. John's basketball program. Number one, because Zuby put the work in, but Rick showed him the requisite work that you got to put in. So for me, and I can't prove this, like if John Wooden was transported to college basketball today with this, whatever his ultimate skill set was, the things that he was best at, right? Probably organization, team, structure. I'm just guessing, but I think, and I've read his book, so that is part of it. The pyramid of success. It's phenomenal. Those are transferable, but would they be as successful with guys leaving for more money and the different conference? My answer is probably no. And I know that Rick Pitino has done it. So that's why I think Rick is the best coach of all time. I really do. J-Rod, you want to pop in for a sec? I don't need you to push back, but you are a big college basketball fan. You don't have to stamp that a yes or a no, but I'm curious, as you hear that, what do you think?
No, I mean, I think I like your take, and I think it's a pretty unique take. I think, yours is very much built upon, obviously, you always say this about Pitino, the adaptability sort of approach and that sort of switch in switching teams and finding greatness wherever he goes. And I think that's a great point compared to like a lot of the guys like a Boeheim, a Coach K, a Krzyzewski, where you really look at them for, their one great run with a single team that maybe it consisted of one or potentially multiple national championships, but they only really did it with one place. And yeah, I mean, for me, like, I don't know, you revere a guy like Boeheim, but you also look at some of the later years and you go, I mean, they were a little disappointing. So
a little.
A lot.
There you go.
I mean, especially just like my first couple of years at the school were god awful. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it was, his last season was the year I think with Butt. What I think the last season was the season after
Buddy.
With Joe Girard and Kaderi Richmond and JJ Starling's first season potentially.
Yeah. I remember that team well.
Brutal. And then Kadari Richmond went to St. John's, got a little better.
First he went to Seton Hall.
Oh, really? So he did the double transfer. I did not know that.
Within the conference.
Because I was on Facebook the other day and a St. John's Richmond jersey popped up and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get it. But yeah, no, I mean Patino, obviously great. And again, only celebrity I've met in New York, so I'll keep singing his praises.
There you go. What time? It's about time. I want to get to the WFAN stuff that Joe Beningo said last week. We'll get to that. First up, though, it's a Monday, obviously, time for little 3 burning questions. There it is, J-Rod, of course, brought to you by my good friends at Sullivan Papain. Sullivan Papain is one of New York's best personal injury law firms, according to U.S. News and World Report. As general counsel to the New York City Firefighters Union for more than 4 decades and the proud law firm partner of St. John's Athletics, Sullivan Papain is New York's team, fighting for New Yorkers for more than 100 years. You can find Sullivan Papain online at triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Remember the name, Sullivan Papain. Of course, shout out to my good buddy TJ McManus, the entire firm over there at Sullivan. All right. This is going to be an NCAA basketball theme here. Burning questions up first. Number one. Who gets the snow blower? Number 1. You ready? All right, here we go. Which region is the toughest headed into the NCAA tournament? This is the easiest one that we've had so far on the show. I mean, without question, it is the East region. Listen to these names. You got Duke. You got Kansas. You got St. John's. You got Michigan State. You got UCLA. Oh, yeah, by the way, you've got UConn as a 2 seed. And look at these coaches. I mean, listen, yes, it possibly complicates St. John's world, which is what matters. Even independent of that, I swear, like forget about that for a moment. I just think that the NCAA did a horrendous job of really spreading out these titans of coaches and programs and blue bloods. You should have spread it out a little bit more. Think about this guy. Patino, Hall of Famer. Billy Self, Hall of Famer. Tom Izzo, Hall of Famer. Danny Hurley, 2 national championships, obviously going to be a Hall of Famer. Mick Cronin has over 500 wins, 526 wins D1. You got John Shire at Duke, who is, he's got 121 wins. That's the most in 4 years in the history of major Division I basketball. So, I mean, it is a gauntlet, bro. It is going to be brutal. The fan bases are going to be rabid. It's going to be an absolute scene. So that one, to me, is simple. All right, number 2. What's a staple here? March Madness, a little Cinderella time. Cinderella cut it up one time. You don't know that song there, J-Rod. All right, so which Cinderella team is poised to make the most noise in March Madness? Well, I got a couple that I was thinking about. Some of these teams I've seen play, some I have not, to be fair, but obviously doing some research. South Florida is thought to be a bit of a tricky. The Bulls, an 11 seed. Obviously, VCU, they've got some veterans. It's a pretty good program. They're an 11 seed as well. You want to keep an eye on like Troy. They've had a good year, and Santa Clara as well, where Steve Nash went. I'm going to actually go, though. My choice here is the University of Akron, the Zips, who are 12. And let's face it, what's the trickiest one of all the matchups in the first round? Usually that 5-12 matchup, which is what St. John's is looking at. Anyway, they are only 7-point dogs against 5 seed Texas Tech. Texas Tech Toppin obviously is out. That hurts them. And the last 5 games, they lost 5 games. I'm sorry. The Zips did. And all 5 were the teams that are going to the tournament here. So they had a tough schedule. They competed, and they've got a top 15 national offense. So, you throw out the fact that they're pretty good and they could shoot it. They're a 3-point shooting team. That's an equalizer. Texas Tech, their best players out, and they played some good teams along the way. That could be a little tricky. All right, number 3, J-Rod, what do you have number 3? Number 3. Here we go. Who are the 3 greatest players in the history of college basketball? And we could do 9 hours on this. Wow. All right. Now, generally with stuff like when I did the Yankees and the Mets lineup, their all-time lineup, I did post 80 for a reason because I wanted to keep it to players that I've seen with my own eyes. So, like DiMaggio and Mantle and Ruth and all the Yankee greats. And obviously, if I did a pitching staff, I wouldn't, even though I did see older Seaver, I didn't see vintage Seaver. Anyway, I'm going to kind of break my own rule here because it's so well chronicled and so documented, the titans of college basketball, that I'm going to do it. And there's 2 that I've never seen play, and there's one that I obviously did. First of all, there's only one answer for number 1. That's Lou Alcindor. I mean, that's it. All right, so he's at UCLA from 66 to 69, 3-time national champ. Freshmen couldn't even play. Freshmen were not allowed to play varsity. He was a 2-time AP Player of the Year. And because it was a little bit too easy for him, they outlawed the dunk in college. I mean, didn't these dudes want to have any fun? Like, imagine sitting around in a room and actually coming up with the rule or the thought, guys, what might be good for the growth of the game, let's eliminate the dunk. I mean, what dopes came up with that? All right, number 2. I mean, I've seen the footage. We know the tales. We know the legacy. It's got to be Pistol Pete Maravich. It's got to be. So Pistol Pete played for his pops at LSU, 1967 through 1970. Check this out. Now, J-Rod, keep this up on the screen. But J-Rod, I want you to pay attention to this, man. He averaged, thank you, 44. That's a good student right there, my boy. 44.2 points per game, all right? He averaged 44.2.
What?
Yeah, but here's the craziest part. There was no 3-point shot.
Dude, so this guy was just putting up like 20, 30 shots a game.
But he was efficient too.
Yeah.
There was somebody, I don't have it obviously in front of me. Somebody went back, and I don't know if it was every game because I don't know what was documentable from his early days at LSU. Although, I mean, it's not the 1930s. I think they had most of it in the late 60s. Somebody went back and they actually measured like the jump shots that he hit. Yeah. And if they were to attach the extra point value there, then the number was like he would have averaged like 51.5 points a game.
Whoa.
Yes.
So he was shooting long range still.
Oh, yeah. No, he was a guard, bro.
That's crazy.
And the thing about Pistol Pete is that he played like he was on the schoolyard. Number one, for a white kid to do that back, really ever, that's still kind of rare, although less rare, but certainly back then. And for anybody, Oscar Robertson had flair at Cincinnati and some others as well. But to like play that way in the late 60s was almost like counterculture. Like, you know what I mean? It just wasn't well received. You know what I mean? Old heads.
Of course.
All right. Number 1, I've seen this player play. Now, I think that this will get some pushback here. I'm going Christian Laettner. I'm going to go with Christian Laettner with Duke from 88 to 92. And this is when the game was getting, I believe, tougher and tougher. Because now obviously UCLA was a power out west, but Arizona out there with Lute Olson and those great teams. And obviously the East and the Big East and the ACC was a monster back then. So you got a 2-time national champion, a winner. And also now in hindsight, it's like, God, how the hell was this guy on the dream team? But he was on the 92 dream team for a reason. Now, he didn't do anything. You could get that off the screen. Thank you very much there, J-Rod. And again, that is brought to you by our good friends at Sullivan Papain, triallaw1.com. That's triallaw1.com. Remember the name, Sullivan Papain. It's, he was on the team. And, some people have said, well, let's throw the token white guy on the team. I don't think that was it because you had Chris Mullin, you had John Stockton. So it wasn't that. I really think it was recognizing his place in the history of college basketball and also thinking that he was going to be a great pro. What was he taking? 3rd overall by the T-Wolves? I think it was 3rd. And he wound up to become a pretty serviceable NBA player. But I remember, and he had the headband on and like the floppy hair, looked like the J. Crew model. And I'm like, this guy. And I never hated Duke like some people. Like you either love Duke or hate Duke. I was fairly, not apathetic, but I enjoy watching Duke play, certainly with Hurley and Grant Hill and those teams and Leitner and Coach K. What? But I think he was inarguably the most despised college player of all time. Maybe J.J. Redick or Grayson Allen. It's always like the white kid from Duke people hate because there's a thought that they're spoiled and whatever, but actually he came up in a very blue collar. I think it's Troy, New York, if I'm not mistaken. Blue collar, not far from Syracuse, all the way up there, cold. His mom was a teacher, had a couple of brothers. They used to beat the shit out of each other. Like Christian Leitner's, was a dog. So those are my answers. Again, obviously you can say that's crazy. Nobody could say Lou Alcindor at 1 is crazy. I think if you really try to respect the annals of the game and the history of the game, I think you maybe want to say Bill Walton. All right, I thought about Bill, but to me, Pistol Pete, I had to put him 2. Yeah, and then Leitner at 3 for the winning and for all the things that I just said. I'm going to put him on the list there. Jay, if I said to you, now obviously you're a young buck here, greatest college basketball player that you ever saw, and before you answer that
I ever saw,
that you ever saw,
it's going to be a crazy take.
Okay,
Zion.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay,
I think
not that
so.
Crazy.
He was insane that season. He was pretty great. The highlights were there. The stats were there.
Yep.
I think it just really shows how short of a period of like real college hoops I've had to watch. Like when Zion's the best dude I've watched, but obviously he was a great college basketball player. So
absolutely phenomenal. There's no doubt about that. The thing too, I'll give you a name that's great, and he's not one of the top 3, but now we're just kind of throwing names. How about Jimmer Fredette at BYU?
Yeah, he was great. Oh,
he's banging 35 and Redick. I mean, you got to throw these names out there. See, the challenge with this, and it just is what it is. It's a byproduct of modern college basketball. Like we have the ability, and Ewing, somebody like Patrick Ewing for me, somebody like Chris Mullen for me, a couple of players, Tim Duncan in the ACC with Wake Forest. There's obviously a ton. I mean, I could do this for hours here, but the challenge now is that, like, imagine if Zion would have stayed at Duke for 4 years or even 3.
He might, he may have a even bigger NBA contract looking at it now. Like if he got that time to develop and maybe got his health a little bit more in check, who knows what he could be looking like. But it could also be one of those circumstances where he made the right decision. He got that big first overall contract. He got the bag there.
Yeah.
And, he's going to keep making money. He's not going to be on a vet minimum for.
No, I agree. But when you come out at that age, Jay, that's why that's why the NBA draft is really, it's really a turnoff. I get it. It's the way of doing business now. But a lot of these kids, you're drafting somebody at the age of 19 or 20, and you understand they're going to go to a bad team to start, and they're going to be surrounded by a fairly inefficient team. Probably have a couple of coaches by the time that player gets 4 or 5, but they get that second bag when they're like 24, 25, and that's where you have a chance to make $8 billion as these exorbitant contracts skyrocket. You got guys making 70 a year. It's going to only go up and up and up. But think about, like, I'm just throwing names out because it's fun. Think about Allen Iverson, what he would have looked like if he was at Georgetown for 4 years, right? Come on. Or, even Ray Allen for 4 years at UConn. It's crazy to think about that. And they do get penalized a little bit in terms of that history, because anytime you pull up a name from the past, it's a comet that's shooting across the sky, and you're trying to, you're reacting to what you saw, but you're also trying to piece together in your mind, like, what would they have been compared to Alcindor or Walton or Leitner or guys like that. So good stuff. Fun stuff.
Interesting.
Right, pop a couple of, I'm going to get to the Beningo stuff in a minute. Pop a couple of texts up here, J-Rod. Can you do that for me?
Let's see. Hey, BT. Were you at 1050 the same time as John Rothstein? His NCAA MBB recall and knowledge is one of a kind.
I know John very well. I absolutely love John. John Rothstein's a great guy. He's absolutely out of his mind. He is a nut job. He is crazy in terms of what he knows. And yes, I was at 1050 so John won. We did this thing. This is when, now not about John here, because John, he really is what he knows. I don't know anybody that knows more about college basketball than him. I mean, nobody.
Really?
Yeah. Even somebody like Fanta, who is phenomenal, has very different. And I love it. I saw John at the Garden the other night. Great. I'm so happy for him. Great dude. I'm going to get him on the show. We connected. We got numbers there. So we'll get John Fanta up at some point. But he's different. He knows like all that, but no doubt he is very well versed. But like John Rothstein, it's frightening where he will say, I don't know, something like, 1991 East Regional Sweet 16 matchup. I don't know. I don't even know a name to throw out. A minute and 9 seconds left. He hit a 22-footer. Like, it's crazy. His recall's insane to the point. So when we're at 10:50, because we didn't have a good signal, that's when obviously Kay was there, Donnie was there, I was there, Stephen A was there. That was right before Max got there. We had a really good lineup, good roster, but nobody could hear us because the signal was awful. And we were trying to do things, which I get, to try to stand out a little bit. So if you remember on ESPN TV, there was this thing called ESPN Dream Job. And a couple of sportscasters wound up winning. And then they wound up going like to ESPN2 or ESPN News, whatever it was. I don't even know. So we did our radio version, and Rothstein won, right? And then he started doing like updates during some of the shows, and he did a lot on my show. And I just love the guy because, we're talking college hoops and, I talk about family and I know John really well. But there was one point, though, because then we would get him on to break down, like on a day like today, like if this was the old days, he would have been on my show, right?
Yep.
And the guy runs through the bracket, and I finally had to tell him, I'm like, John, I don't even care about the seventh man on Northern Iowa. I don't care. Nobody cares except you and the Northern Iowa fans. You gotta stop hitting us.
We've got breaking news.
What do we got? Is it good? What do we got?
Jets. We've got Justin Fields traded to the Chiefs.
Justin Fields traded to the Chiefs. What?
Just
what the hell did they get for him?
It's
got to be a seventh rounder.
2027 6th round pick. Yep.
There you go. See ya. All right. Good job, Moochie.
There we go.
What the hell are they going to do with him? They ain't going to play quarterback. There was a thought he was going to turn into running back. All right. So listen, I didn't know what was coming at me. First of all, it sounds like we're getting bombed when we hear that. Oh my God. We can take cover here. The sports radio shelter. All right. I'm not going to stick with it too much because it is a late round pick, but this is where you have to feel good about Darren Muji. You just have to. You have to. I don't know what Glenn's going to be, but Muji's the man, and Muji's the real deal. Because number one, he is aggressive. Number two, he doesn't double down on his mistakes. Like he comes in year one as a GM, AG first year as a head coach. They knew they had to change the quarterback situation. There was some evidence in Pittsburgh and even a little bit at the end in Chicago. All right, Justin Fields getting a little bit better, a little bit, and this is documentable because I've done it. A little uptick in stats, completion percentage up a little bit, touchdowns a little bit up, INTs down a little bit. And I mean a little bit, like barely perceptible, barely visible evidence that he was getting better. But they're sitting there saying, all right, we have a pretty good O-line. There's no franchise quarterback to get. We got to get somebody who's young. We're going to run them a lot. We're going to try to have a ball control offense, and we're going to rebuild it this way. Now, they did it. It didn't work out, and they got rid of him. And they didn't cut him. They traded him. So, I mean, how were they able to make the last trade that they made? Think about it. They swapped, right? They swapped with the Raiders, and they swapped picks, 7th and 6th round. So, I like it. I really do like it. I'm fine with it. I think it's good, but I'm not going to go nuts here. I mean, we breaking news is like at some point we're going to get breaking news during the season. Aaron Glenn's fired, or we're going to get some real breaking news at some point. Wow.
Yeah, no, I mean we need something great like that to go down. That would be very fun.
I don't even know what the hell I was saying before that. Jeez.
John Rothstein, Rothstein, knowledgeable guy.
Thank you. Good job, Jay. And I remember just telling him finally, I'm like, John, you're hitting me. I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Like, I don't know any of these players. I don't care. So if I don't care and I'm starting to wonder as you rifle through the eighth man who averages 5.7 points a game for some mid-major, I love that you know that. I love that you love that. I don't care. So, But John's the best. Like, so, whatever. We just had to kind of do a little more surface. But I used to have him on all the time. And I told him, too, I'm like, you got to get a hobby, man. I've told John, he's like my hobby, and his sayings are hysterical. We sleep in May. He really is a unique dude. Like, I don't know how else to express it. I'm a big fan of John. Number one, he's a friend, but he's a great guy. But I tell him, I'm like, dude, you're going to be 300 pounds soon if you don't watch what you eat. Sundays he's got a pounder rigatoni. He's got chicken
God.
francaise. He's got the meatballs. He's got this. He's got that. All the different restaurants he hits. He's an old school soul, and he's a great guy. All right, you guys ready to get in some WFAN stuff? What do we got? What are we gonna cook up? What are we gonna cook up here, J-Rod? How are we feeling about this, huh? What do we think?
Could get spicy.
Could.
Could.
So did you guys catch what Joe B said the other day? I know that you did. That was a rhetorical question to my producer. It was on the Jake Asman show. Jay does a lot of Jets, a lot of Jet stuff, right? So Joe was, I'm sure, talking about the Jets and obviously getting into some other stuff. Joe B had this to say about the station and where the station is right now. Quote, "The fan will never be what it once was. I know I work part-time there, a couple of days, but the days of Imus and the days of Mike and the Mad Dog and the days of Steve Summers and myself overnight, all of that, Eddie Coleman, Dave Sims, those days, well, we'll never see anything like that again." He continues, "The heyday, we've all seen the heyday of the fan and sports talk radio in general." Okay. There's a couple of ways to interpret that. Number one, I think if you see the quote, I think that you could say Joe's hating on the station. I don't take that away from. That's not what I get. All right. I think that Joe is leaning into a lot of truth there. Right? I think that things have changed a lot, and they're going to continue to evolve. And year by year, sadly, and radio, in addition to other stuff, but radio has afforded me to have a pretty good living. So I'm always going to support radio. I'm always going to have radios back. I just am, right? But each year you get a little sliver of revenue chiseled off, and you get a little sliver of relevance chiseled off. It's less relevant than it's ever been in my lifetime. That is a fact, okay? And people can protest that. That's fine. Just look at the numbers from revenue and just open your eyes and see what's going on in the world in terms of content. And that's the only answer. Like, that's the only, I guess you can have other opinions, but that's the reality of what's happening. You see, what I find interesting about that, what Joe said, is, and I want to be careful here because I know how this game works. Like it happened with Kay when he was on the show and he was talking about his show. Yeah, and the politics, and it was sliced up, and I'm not taking it out of context. Mike said it, and whatever I say, I'll stand by. I'm not saying that. I want to just make sure I preface this. I understand the world we're in. You say something, gets clipped, it gets cut, it's out there for everybody to disseminate, and you open yourself up to being either criticized or whatever, and that's fine. I'm a big boy, that's fine. So I'll tell you what I really believe, right? That's what we do on this show. That's what I've always done. Don said something about, he should have been more aggressive, and it bothered him with his name not being on the show. Bing, cut that up. I didn't cut it up. National news in terms of this medium. See, the thing when I think that some people think that Joe's saying that it's not as good as it used to be. And I don't think that Joe was saying that. I don't think that that was Joe's intent at all. I think what Joe is saying is really what I'm saying. Like things have changed so much that when somebody like Joe Beningo or like Steve was to say it, or Mike or Dog, or even if Boomer was to say it, which he wouldn't because he's still on the air, but like one of those, old school, Russ, like somebody who was there a long time. Even if Sid said it, Jody Mack, Susan, it's not, to me, it's not a knock on the current talent. I don't think that's what Joe was going for at all. But now this is what I really do believe what I'm about to say here. I think that back then, being a star on WFAN was pretty easy. It was pretty easy because there was nowhere else to go. That's just the reality of it. That's the reality of the history of the station. So the station was born in 1987. There was no 1050 ESPN radio at that point. There was no 98.7 FM ESPN radio, and there was no 880 ESPN radio. Back then, if you were on the air, you were almost by default, you were a rock star. You were a persona that is almost impossible to replicate today. It's impossible, right? So you think about the way we think about the way things were back then, who were the stars? The stars were the one or two main writers like Lupica, right? Even though I think he's awful to read. Lupica, stop. Lupica was a star, right? Raceman was a massive star in terms of being a voice in terms of the industry. Mushnick, who I guess is still battling Carton. That was crazy. I saw that story the other day. My God. I mean, listen, Mushnick the guy's never happy. I don't get it. Wow. If it's that joyless, stop writing about it. I don't understand. There are some good things you could write about, right? My goodness, right? So those guys had juice because they had the laptop, and what they wrote controlled the mindset of a lot of people. I remember, this is true. Like I remember when Raceman, as I got older, Raceman actually started to treat me differently. And maybe I just got better. I don't know. Maybe I got more humble. Maybe I got more buttoned up. I don't know. But when I first burst on the scene, Raceman used to just shit all over me. And I wanted to grab him by the throat and knock him out. I can't tell you how much it used to bother me. I remember one time, I might have a few, this is going to be an interesting segment. Two side stories woven in here. I remember playing golf. This is when I lived in Manhattan, pre-kids, pre-marriage, all that stuff. I remember I used to love coming back from golf and going to get there was a Dunkin' Donuts on the corner, getting like a decaf and getting a bottle of water. And then right next to it was a newsstand. And they had the early version of the Daily News. And, I wanted to see what Raceman was writing about our business, not just me, but our business. And I remember like every time he wrote something, I would, because I was a young broadcaster, I was worried that, not that I really cared what he thought. I didn't need him to say, oh, wow, you're really good. I didn't need that validation from him. What I was worried about was, geez, if he keeps writing the stuff, are my bosses at ESPN going to say maybe Raceman's right? Like they did carry some clout back then. When you looked at like network decisions, I'm not saying that Raceman's opinion ultimately shaped the final answer, but it was an important, if you know, it was an important read, right? Anyway, remember one time he wrote something and like it was personal and I thought it was off base. And I called up my agent and I flipped out and I said, get that, I can't even say, like I could, but I'm not. I just want to go nuts here. Get him on the phone. I'm like, I've effing had it enough. Like I flipped out. And then I just learned. And then I actually saw him all the time over at SNY when I was doing the Wheelhouse and he was doing Daily News Live, ironically with Joe B. And I developed a good relationship with him. I'm like, he's not a bad guy, right? And I think he understood me more and I understood him and whatever. I think the tone changed a bit. But back then it was, all right, what did the Knicks do? Hey, I got to put on channel. I got to see the news. I got to watch the highlights. Hey, did Donnie go deep tonight? It's a late game. Or I got to flip on the radio in the morning. You were a rock star by default. Dude, now this is the part. I really believe this. Now, this is the part that might get me in trouble, and that's fine. Some of the legends, right, on WFAN, do I really think that if this was the early 90s and me and Sal were on WFAN, that we couldn't have that type of persona? I absolutely believe that we could have. There's not a doubt in my mind because we were loud, we were unapologetic, we were a little controversial, we had some connections, got to know the Yankee manager pretty well. Sal got some good inside stuff, with the Mets, being around SNY. I'm bringing you St. John stuff. I told you Patino was going to get hired, so we had a little juice. And I'm not trying to equate myself to Mike and Chris at all because that's ridiculous, because I'm a little pebble compared to the massive boulder that is constructing Mount Rushmore, and they are both on it, obviously. I'm not saying that at all. That's why, I know how the game works. Oh, BT said that, him and Sal would have dwarfed Mike and Chris. And I didn't say that. And you guys know I didn't. But you don't think for a second that I don't think in my own mind that if I was born into a certain time, like a different time period, that I could have done that? I do. I absolutely do. I believe that with all my heart. I really do. I believe I could have done it with Sal, and I believe I could have done it without Sal. I believe I myself could have done it, right? But, I was born when I was born, and I didn't get a chance to work at FAN until much later, and that's life, and that's fine. And that's why since things went down at the Fan, you haven't heard me say a bad word, and you won't, because I'm thankful for the 3 years because I really wanted to be able to say that I worked there, man, because what it meant to me. So when I hear Joe say something like this, like it hits me in all different angles. I don't think Joe was trying to diss anybody. I really don't. Now, and this is not a knock at all. I'm sure some of you will take it as one, but I'm just saying it's not. I love Joe. I love his wife. I've played golf with Joe. Joe's a good guy, really good guy. If Joe did the same show today that he did all those years on WFAN, and we were in the year 2026, and he was like just starting out, but he had that, like that was his game. Do I think that Joe would be a legend? I don't. I don't think so. I think Joe would be a voice that some people love, and some people, especially killing the Jets and dumping on the Mets and the craziness. And it's one of the reasons I love Joe, because he gave you that energy and he gave you that bite and he gave you that rawness, and you knew it mattered to Joe. But Joe doesn't like analytics. Joe doesn't study numbers. Joe, has gotten more and more political as he's gotten older. Now, maybe if he was younger, Joe wouldn't talk about that stuff on the air. It's a different game. It's different rules. Like, I've got to follow different rules than Joe. Joe could just get on the fan and be Joe. And it worked, and it worked at an incredibly high level. That's why Joe's a legend. But do I think that somebody like Joe is more talented than me? I don't. No. Doing a show? No. I don't. And like, part of the reason why you've got to have depth doing this is because there are people out there. I'm not saying Joe has no depth. I don't mean that. But now I'm just kind of continuing the point. There's a lot of people out there that are really good at what they do and can create great content. So Joe is not wrong when he says that. You get the quote back up there again, Jay, please. I want to read this. I want to make sure I don't misrepresent my guy, Joe. All right. I'm going to take this line by line. The fan will never be what it once was. I agree with that. Number two, I know I work, all right, the days of SEMIS, the days of Mike and Med, okay, the days of Steve and myself overnight, all that Eddie C, Dave Sims, those days, we'll never see anything like that again, end quote. Now, if Joe is saying, and I don't think he's saying this, keep that up, please, Jay. Joe's not saying we'll never have talent like Mike and Mad Dog or me, or meaning Joe, not me, Joe, or Dave or Eddie C or Schmooze. If he is saying that, well, then I totally disagree, because there's a lot of talent out there. I don't think he's trying to say that at all. I think what he is saying, the relevance of those voices and how far they carried and the juice that they had, right? That's what's changed here. The heyday, we've all seen the heyday of the fan and sports talk radio in general. And with that, I agree with Joe. You can get it off. I do agree with Joe. I really do. Think about this, guys. One of the great things about radio was, and unfortunately, I wasn't really involved in it. I would have loved to have been involved in it, was the radio wars. And I wasn't involved in it because when I was at 1050, they would kick our ass because they were WFAN. We had a horrible signal. We were just starting out. They had a 20-year head start. And by the way, they had an amazing product. They had a great leader in Mark Chernoff. They had two Titans. They had Babe Ruth and I'd say Willie Mays for dog. Give him his Giants love there. Two of the best of all time. But to stick with the baseball analogy, okay, who's the best player of all time? Well, you could say Babe Ruth. You could say Willie Mays. You could say Hank Aaron, right? But if you believe it's Babe Ruth, and I'm going to give you a sports radio correlation. If you believe it's Babe Ruth, you're saying that Babe Ruth's the greatest player of all time, and I could accept that based on the numbers to an extent. But now I have to also say he never played against minorities. African Americans weren't allowed to play baseball. The Latino influence, it was pretty much all white guys, and they were great. But it's different. Smaller pool. So I think it's probably more that. You know what I mean? I just don't think, I'm sorry, I don't think that any of those voices back then were better than the voices now. I think they're received differently. I think for some people, they're respected differently. I think the way we have to do shows, and I'll say we because I was there recently, the way we have to do shows, it's different. When you've got all these outlets, you got YouTube, you got 9,000 shows, TV, you got everything. You got apps. You better be fucking on point right away. You can't joke around and jerk around. You got to start the show. And when you have to start the show right away, and I know a lot of you have issues with this, and I didn't love it either. I said this. When you got to start the show right away in like this combative nature, some shows, morning show's a little different. It's a little more free flowing and like they let it breathe. It's different show, But like me and Sal would come out swinging because that's basically what we were told to do. And I didn't even really love that. We're going to swing naturally because he's Sal and I'm me. We're going to swing. But imagine if every YouTube show that you watch, not gone, not there. FS1, I don't even know what debate shows are on FS1 now. I know Craig did something there. Skip did something. I don't know what's on there now. But whatever's on there now, right? Imagine not there. Good Morning Football. They do a good job. They do a good show. Like Schrager left. He was good. It's a talented show. Great chemistry. Imagine if that was gone. Okay? Take 880, like Rothenberg and Rick. I think that's a good morning show. I think they're both very talented. I think they know their stuff. I think they have fun. Rick played the game. Rothenberg's a nut job in a good way, passionate. They have a lot of fun. Guy talk. That's a talented show. Imagine if that wasn't here, gone. And it's just imagine if it was, I'll go to my lineup when I was there. Boomer and Gio, BT and Sal, Evan and Tiki. We'd be fucking rock stars. We would be. That's the reality of it. That's not knocking Mike or Chris. It's not. And if you take it that way, that's your problem. Because I always give respect. I always make sure that I show respect to people. And not just people that came before me. That's how I'm built. Like, I'm not mad what happened. I moved on. I'm flourishing. I'm resilient. Let's go. I don't need WFAN to do content. And they don't need me, evidently, because they said get out. It's all good. This isn't, BT's still pissed. I haven't projected that at all. I really haven't. Anytime it's come up, not every name comes up, but when a certain name comes up, I know Marash's name came up the other day on the show. I'm like, I love Sean. I'm genuinely happy for Sean. He's a talented, funny, nutty nutball who doesn't take himself too seriously. I worked with Tiki for 10 years. He's a good guy. Got nothing bad to say about Tiki. Evans, I say this with a smile. Weird. Good way. Weird. Great guy. Knows his shit. Loves sports. Like, if that's the only show in town, they're all rock stars, and some of them are anyway. So it was an interesting thing that Joe said. And it's Joe's opinion. And I'm not here to say it's wrong. I'm just giving you my opinion. And I am offering conjecture and contextualization based on my skin in the game all these years, being at the other station and then being at FAN and listening to the station literally from day one. So, if you're going to be the best player of all time and you're going to be a rock star and you're going to have the superhero persona, don't you think you had to kind of go against everybody to really have that tag? I do. But now you shouldn't be victimized when you're born. In a lot of ways, those guys were lucky. Think about it. Now, he could also, and this is where I'm going to defend some of those guys too. There were other shows, early stages of WFAN, that just didn't work out. They got rid of them, and the ones who became legends, they did work. And you trusted them and you listened to them and they took on a larger than life persona. I think the hardest thing now is to have a larger than life persona. If you really think about it, besides Stephen A, McAfee, obviously like Charles Barkley and Shaq, but they're former players. So, so was McAfee too. It's just different. It's different. I think that, I just think it's different. I don't think it's better. I don't think it's worse. I think in a lot of ways too, here's the difference. Like, I remember I was really frustrated when I was trying to break into the business because this is in the late 90s. And I remember, I don't know if I told the story. I'm not going to get too deep into it. No, it won't be a short story long. It will be a short story short. I promise. Because I want to get some reactions. Obviously, J-Rod, pour through those, get some good stuff on with Joe. And I remember I sent a letter to every sports radio station in the country. This is how you had to do it, when you were trying to get in. Now, I didn't go to Syracuse. I didn't have any connections. I didn't need them. I had a dream and I had a work ethic. And I also didn't have any practical experience because I didn't do internships at Marist because I played baseball. I couldn't even write for the school newspaper. I didn't have time, right? So anyway, I'm not looking for pity. My path was hard. And I remember sitting in my parents' basement looking at a website called Rick Scott. Rick Scott was it was like a website that it was aggregated. I don't even know what he was like. What's the word I'm looking for? Like one of these sage voices that basically brought everything together for the sports radio world. And I was able to find a link to every sports radio station. And I sent the letter. Barely, I didn't even have a resume. So I was just basically making stuff up. I did a little demo in my basement. It sounded awful. Sent it to him. Sent it to every station in the country. A to Z. Arkansas, Alabama, you name it, sent. I got like 2 or 3 back. Both rejections. One was from a TV station in Denver. I remember getting excited when it came, even though it was a rejection letter, when it came to my parents' house, and WJ, it wasn't WG, well, it would have been west of the Mississippi, so it would have been K, whatever it was there. And like I was so excited seeing the call letters on the envelope, like it actually gave me fuel. I'm like, wow, they actually wrote me back, even though I got nicely rejected. And that's how you kind of had to do it back then. And it's not a pity party. I'm not even trying to get into my whole story. The point is, that's how you had to do it back then. The way you do it now is, you don't even have to study it in college. That's fine. You look into a camera, this little thing, or you open up your phone and you do something. By the way, we're getting these up on the digital store as well soon. And then you get it out there and people either react to it or they don't. And if you get traction, you make money. If you don't, you don't. So it's easier to permeate the business now. It's simple. I mean, anybody could say that they have a podcast, anybody in the world, but it's harder to be relevant. It's harder to stand out. And back then, conversely, it was the exact opposite. When I was coming up, it was so much harder to break through, like that's why LaGreca's path is so unique. He never had to leave, never had to leave the metropolitan area, tri-state area. God bless him. Lucky. Now I'm happy that I did because I think it gave me, I'm not saying Don doesn't have that at all, but it gave me like a balance for me, like a well-roundedness that I think is really good for this and has served me well. Working in Pennsylvania and going to Detroit and going to San Francisco and all these things I did, whatever. So while it was hard, arduous, I was piss poor, frustrating at times, getting, not like climbing the way I thought that I should. I think it actually made me better at the end of the day. But now you could get your stuff in front of, you could record something, send it to McAfee or one of his producers. He can play it on, wow, this is pretty good shit. Put it on the McAfee show, 30 seconds. You go from 312, followers on X to suddenly you got 77,000 if it's good enough. Like that doesn't exist. But with me and my generation, it was harder to get in. But once you got in, if you were at least somewhat competent, you did become a rock star. Whether it was, Scott Clark doing TV. I love Scott. I got a funny story with Clark. I might have to tell you that in a second with Scott Clark. J-Rod, I'm going to tell you that in a second. It's funny. Guys like Scott, where you watch the 11 o'clock news, like this guy's a rock star making over $1 million. They're all getting paid. Len Berman, Warner Wolf, rock stars. Mike and Chris, rock star. Imus in the morning, rock star. There's guys who are really, really good and have created great legacies on the radio now, but it is a little different. So that's my interpretation of what Joe said. Very quickly on the Scott Clark thing. So now read this. Keep them up. So I was, again, trying to break into the industry. Scott's at Channel 7, and my dad's friend knew this is like the only teeny, and I didn't even get a job at ABC because I didn't do TV till much later. But anyway, somebody knew Scott that knew my dad. And he's like, hey, listen, this kid, I don't know if he's any good. I just graduated college, basically. I don't know if he's any good. His dad's a good guy. He wants to break into the business. Can he come down? Can he do anything for him? Scott's like, yeah, have him come down. He could watch the newscast, right? I'm like, this is unbelievable. So I go in, I'm all suited up, and I'm sitting in Scott. I don't even know if Scott will remember this, but I do. And I'm in his office, and back then they would have like the producer, like literally watching like the Knicks game or the Rangers, and they would be charting like, all right, 5 minutes and 12 seconds into the first quarter. I don't remember Patty LaFontaine, if you're watching I don't know, whatever. So-and-so scores a goal, right? Lead scores. And that's what they would look for highlights that they would use at night. So I was there pretty early. So they go on the air, and it was Bill Butel doing the news. It wasn't Liz Show. I wish it was Liz Show. It wasn't Liz. It was Bill Butel, Scott Clark, Diana Williams and somebody else. Oh, Sam Champion doing the weather. And they're like, oh, hey, Scott's like, hey, just sit. And it was a big studio. Sit on the side over there. Just, hey, be quiet. You can watch how we do. I'm like, absolutely, Mr. Clark, you got it. So I'm on this raised platform, probably 2 feet off the air. And then you start hearing the music. The show's there. The news is starting. And like the director's like, all right, quiet on the floor. Quiet. And I go to like move a little bit this is a true story. I wanted to disappear. I wished I was dead at this moment. As I adjust, I'm on a couch. As I adjust the couch of the chair, it was a couch, and there's 4 legs, right? One of the legs falls off of the platform, J-Rod. As they're getting ready, literally going like this. You're on to them. I'm not on TV, obviously. I'm a nobody, right? And it goes like this. It goes. I'm like, what, dude? My right hand hits the floor, and I caught it. And it made a little noise.
Okay.
The couch now is not. Well, it's not quite like it's uneven, and I held myself up for
no way
a minute and a half before they went to either weather or something happened, and they came and they helped me. If I didn't, it would have collapsed, dude. It was.
That's impressive.
Well, it was terrifying. Thank God I was young. I mean, I could still do that. Oh my God, yeah. That's. But shout out to Scott Clark. The point is, guys like that. They were received differently, and they were truly treated like, royalty, because there just weren't many of them. And it's not a knock. It's just the reality of the difference in the business. BT, what happened to Scotty Frill from the Wheelhouse? Ricardo, Dash, we got a lot of letters. BN5KW. Thank you, Ricky. I love Scotty, man. Scotty actually, oh God, how many years did I do the Wheelhouse? I think it was like 06, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. When did I go to San Francisco? I think 2011, maybe the Wheelhouse was like 05. So I did that a good 6 or 7 years. And Scott and I were the first show, the original show. And then we had some other, and Custer was the moderator, B. Cust, good dude. And me and Scotty would just go bonkers every day. And then Scott, I think, was there for 2 years, and they didn't re-up him. And then it was like Andy Gresh, who I know and I like, and Moose. It was me and Moose had a battle one day over the dumbest thing. Moose is a great guy. I'm happy to see him doing well. And Moose was on there, and then they bring. I think Sal came on once or twice. He did, because the story about how, like an idiot, I guess they said to Sal, we could do this the easy way or the hard way. I don't really remember him. I don't remember me saying that. He said that I did, and it doesn't surprise me. Either way, I love the Wheelhouse, and I love SNY. Scotty was there for about 2 years, and then they moved on, and he's still doing great. A really unique voice. He was on late nights at the Fan. And matter of fact, before the Wheelhouse, Scott was doing a national show, Pharrell on the Bench. And when I was living in Vegas is when it's no longer, it's been gone for a long time, the Sports Fan Radio Network. All right. A lot of talented people there. The Jim Rome was there, young Jim Rome, fabulous sports babe, Pharrell. Again, I'm just a weekend host, peon, nobody, and doing updates during the week nationally. And when I would fill in for Scotty once in a while, I would get a chance to do his night show. And it was awesome, man. Like, I got people calling from Seattle. I mean, it was a national show. It was a big step for me. So I haven't talked to Scotty in a while, but we had a great relationship. Never had one beef at all. Really good guy, really unique talent, really good dude. What have we got here? Robert Huertas, dash S5C. I remember Summers saying no UCLA quarterback's going to win a Super Bowl when the Cowboys drafted Aikman in the draft. That's how long he's been rolling with the Fan. Well, yeah, I mean, we all say crazy stuff there. I don't remember Steve saying that, but if he did, all right. I mean, if you ever did a history of the bad takes at that station, including me, I mean, some of the things I said, I might actually win some of the baddest takes ever. But that's what happens, when you're talking every single day. Lindor should only bat right-handed. Zach's going to be a star. Playoffs with Zach. Timmy Boyle can spin it. Yeah, I mean, there's been some really good ones too, but there's been some bad ones there. Charlie F 6675. Charlie, what's going on, man? Great show, BT. An additional point, I think radio and TV is compelled to use former pro athletes along with TV and radio. Yeah, watering down things further a little bit. That's true. So, that's why. Listen, that's one of the reasons why Boomer's very unique. Boomer's one of the first guys to do it. I saw the other day that Boomer passed Imus, longest tenured morning show on the Fan, maybe ever, but definitely on the Fan. Yeah, like back then it was like when Boomer was doing that, and I remember hearing him on with Chris doing the picks back in the day, radio, and Boomer made the easy transition. Tiki later did it as well. Bart Scott does it. I mean, every show that you look at, it's basically athletes. So they already have that name and they already have that recognition, that value. So that's another reason. I'm not saying it makes the product better or worse, but it definitely takes away opportunities for, non-athletes to become stars. I mean, you think about that. It's a good point. An absolutely good point there. I wonder if Joe did. I don't know if Joe circled back. Joe doesn't care. I don't think that Joe cares enough to circle back. Not that he needs to clarify anything. I wonder. Now, I'm not listening to it. I haven't heard it. I'm sure they got to be talking about this on WFAN. They have to be. I'm curious what some of their takes would be. You heard my take, all right? My take is I think that Joe's right. WFAN's never going to be the same. But I also think that that's a product of less about WFAN not knowing how to do things. Although, of course, I would have kept BT and Sal on the air. I've said that a million times. I think they messed up, but whatever. I think it's more really just the ever-evolving world. I mean, think about this. There was a point, man. I remember when I was in college, during one summer, I did construction. I was like up on 179th Street. I would drive in every day from Brooklyn. I would work my ass off, dude. And I was in demo, and it was awesome. I was just J-Rod. I was just smashing walls down. It was fun. Man. I was practicing my baseball swing, working, doing stuff on the roof with the shirt off, rocking a can. I mean, the big fat gold chain. Those were the days.
Oh, that's sick.
Feeling good. And I remember I'd get maybe a half hour, maybe even an hour, but I would go to my car during lunch, and I would listen to the Sweater and the Schmooze. And, Russ has become a good buddy of mine. I haven't seen him in a couple of months, but I see Russ. I've coached with Russ. I've coached his grandkids in every sport.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts? And he's there all the time. They played soccer together. I've coached. This is just rec though. I've coached his grandson in rec baseball. So I see him all the time. And I used to go into the car and, have my thermos, my water, my big sandwich. And I would listen to those guys. And I couldn't wait to hear the 2020 update, whether it was Ack, whether it was Husler, whether it was Mink, of course, my guy Mink. I'll see Mink tomorrow as we fly out to California for the Johnnies. Let's go. I'm pumped up to that, man. And the 2020s were such a staple, that's some evidence there. I mean, obvious evidence, but how much it's changed. Like the people now, WFAN is really solely just, and all stations, just a form of entertainment.
Yeah.
You're connected to certain people and you want to be entertained and you want to hear your guys and gals talk about sports, right? But back then, and this is why I say that the relevance has been stripped away a little bit, because back then, and in addition to the revenue, which is irrefutable, but it was also really, it was like a source where you had to go to find out what was happening. Shit. Pat Riley's doing a press conference today. George Steinbrenner's talking about the Yankees. I got to listen because there's no phone to bust out and get it in real time. So you have to listen, and, again, that's why it's not arrogance or cockiness or a lack of respect. I really believe that there's a lot of us, if we were in that spot back then, we would have identities and we would have, resumes and bank accounts and legacies, really, like a lot of those guys. And I honestly believe that. I really do. Some people are going to take issue with that. And I don't say it disrespectfully. So as long as you've heard this, the start of this show, I am completely fine with what I've said. That's it.
No, I mean, I think it's totally fair. And I think like you say, the great point of all this is just an idea of oversaturation. I think an oversaturation in every market of sports media, of media in general, of people showing themselves off on the internet. I just think the mass amount of information we're being fed has diminished the idea of a legacy just because there's too much to keep track of. Along with this, I think it's much more of a personal angle when you do a show like this or a show where you do just shorts off the iPhone, taking the video of your face. I think that gives you much more of a chance to build yourself as a true personality than the radio stations do. I think that's the big difference is nowadays, if you just take a selfie video on your phone, you're doing so much more for your own personal brand.
For sure.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about the only thing that I really miss is the callers. That's really the only thing that I miss there. Certainly don't miss the commute. Don't miss I mean, the corporate check was nice too. It was a pretty good one. But we're adjusting. I miss parts of the show with Sal, the energy there. But the callers are the one thing that I can't replicate, that I haven't replicated yet. Like, that's the one thing. There's an urgency. There's a different connection. There's a deeper dive there, and that's why we're really trying to. And I told you guys when we first launched this that calls would be probably the last thing to come. The first thing was I got to clean up the camera, and I've got to kind of fix things with the logo, which I'm not going to get into that. We still got things coming, whatever. And then the digital store is going to come, and then I'm going to start rolling out the interviews, which I've already started to do. Stephen A told me to circle back today, which I did. He's still jacked up from the surgery. And now I've got to travel with St. John. So it could be early next week with Stephen A, but he's coming on. Had Michael, had Don, had Sal, obviously. Francesca said he would come on, not to talk about FAN, but, talk about sports. And I love to do that with Mike. And, had Patino on, I want to get Booney on, just things I just want to do here. Talk to Alex. He's going to come on as well. So those things I could still do. And I love the long form conversation stuff, but the calls, that is the thing that I do miss. And that's a built-in advantage that WFAN will always have, at least for now, like the mass volume, that immediate, that visceral, all right, Jets lose. What happened to the Giants? Giants hire Harbaugh. How'd you draft this guy? Yeah. Oh, my God. Judge dropping a pop-up in the World Series. Fire Cashman. Fire Boone. Mendy had a shit year. It's that. Mania, what happened to you? Whatever it might be, bang. This is the immediacy of that. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. But other than that, we good.
Big time. And you know what? Like, whenever we get those callers running, soon, whenever that may be, I know that's going to just be awesome. Like, it's going to be obviously so much fun. Huge for all fronts. And also, let's see. Any updates on chat polls? Still got to figure that one out. I'll figure that one out for tomorrow's episode.
Well, why did you, why did you need a text to remind you about that? I thought that was part of the deal. I think you were doing some homework on that over the weekend, J-Rod.
Hey,
what happened?
You know what? My dog ate the homework.
What happened to how was the weekend, by the way? Anything good?
It was chill. Nothing. I didn't do, man. I went to bed on Friday. Wow. I went to bed Friday. Saturday, went out. I saw my buddy from college. I haven't seen him in a while. He just moved to Philly. So he came through. We chilled a little bit, but I was working. I was working through the weekend.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little work here. What does that handle say? Fook? We'll say Fook. We'll
go Fook your couch.
All right, Fook your couch. It's like saying Judge could definitely play in the 40s, no problem, but take a player from the 1940s. Could he still play now? Yeah, I mean, and we'll never really know the answer. Like, do I think? There's a lot of examples here. Do I think that if Jack Nicklaus was coming up today, just to take golf, right, or Bobby Jones today, or Sammy Snead today, and they've got access to, instead of using that two-piece ball that went 250 yards, that's, on a good day, you're using these souped-up balls, and you're basically rendering these 8,000-yard courses. You're making them munis where you're going over trees and cutting corners, and I mean, these guys are hitting seven irons, 190, 200. It's insane. Do I think that if more than that, I think if Jack had the access to the equipment and the training and, to keep his body in shape instead of banging back heaters and beers and whatever else he was drinking, and Arnie, I think they'd hit the ball as far as Tiger, and some of them, obviously Tiger back in the day, maybe not quite as far as Bryson because he's a little different when he connects and a few others like that, but they'd all be striping at 320 off the tee because that's what everybody does. I mean, so, it's not as easy to say that. You can't, I don't know that it applies all the time. Like, today's superstars would have dominated back then, and the stars back then would have been, average menial contributors. Now, I don't think you could say that because there's way too many variables. It's an interesting conversation for sure. But I think the one part that you have to hone in on is the lack of competition, right? The lack of seeking your time. All right. So you get in the car. Think about what you do when you get in the car now. You get in the car, and depending upon, like, even if you're at a traffic light, you might check a message, whatever. You get in the car. Are you streaming music? Are you streaming this show? Are you streaming another show? Like, what are you doing? I mean, are you listening to an audio book? I could tell you that, you might be listening to WFAN because the ratings are still really good. And it's still WFAN. It's got a lot of respect. It's got a lot of cachet. But there's 7 options. There's 12 options. There's 15 options. Back in the day, now getting your car in 1989, getting your car in 1993. What are you doing? You're putting on WFAN or Z100. That's it. So it doesn't mean that the guys back then were better. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It means that they capitalized, and to their credit, because there were a lot of people who had a chance early that just didn't get the job done. Didn't sound right, didn't look right. The chemistry between two hosts wasn't good. They made changes. So all the credit in the world to those men and women that did emerge from the early days of the station. But to think that it's easier now to have that persona it's a fallacy. It's the complete opposite. It's not even close. It's just harder. I think it's harder to do anything. If you think about it. Like now, let's think about this. All right. If let's say you're a kid, let's take an inner city, because I love basketball and I love inner city basketball, right? I can certainly take a farm in Indiana, but I'm going to take inner city. Let's take a kid that's growing up and he's playing up in Harlem, right? He's playing in Brooklyn, like Pearl Watt, Mark Jackson, Steph a little bit after that, guys like that, right? And obviously a lot of people before him. Or you got this Isaiah Thomas in Chicago going to the schoolyards where, God forbid, you could get shot in addition to playing the best competition in the world, or mean streets of Philly, or, Compton, and you're just looking for a game and you're trying to avoid the gangs and you're really trying to do the right thing and not getting involved in the drug game and the guns and all that. And you're just trying to ball, right? And the only thing that you had to really compete with, aside from the violence and the criminality aspect of it, which is unfortunate, but from a basketball point of view, all you had to deal with was the players in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay? Watching basketball when I was a kid, there were no foreigners. Like, there was like 1 or 2. Now, Detlef Schrempf, where's he from? Is he German? Where's that guy from? All these guys, you knew them all from college because you saw them play 3-4 years, and it was all Americans, right? Mm-hmm. Now you've got, it's a global game, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just telling you it's harder. So now that kid who is really trying to do the same thing, avoiding the violence and and by the way, you could be affluent as well. I'm just painting the imagery of really trying to rise from the ashes, right? So you could be, scrapping on the playgrounds, or really more AAU now, but in Chicago or here or Philly or Compton or wherever, right? Houston, Texas, Dallas, whatever it might be. And you could be the best, right? And guess what? Now, all of a sudden, you're going against the whole world. Mm-hmm. That's just basketball. Think about what I opened the show with last night. Last night, the WBC, Japan, phenomenal. Dominican Republic, phenomenal. Yeah. Puerto Rico, phenomenal. Venezuela, good. Italy, I mean, I don't know how they're still playing. Italy, good. Look at our American players, for every Bryce and every Aaron Judge and every Witt and all those young studs, right? You think about the world that you're trying to fend off to make it, not only to the majors, which is, 0.1 of 1%, just to get a college scholarship. So everything is harder now. I really believe that. I think everything is tougher. Now, if you want to be a musician, guess what? You could record a song. Good luck to you. You can make it organic rap. You could bang the violin. You can hammer the drum, not bang the violin, but play the violin, hammer the guitar, whatever you're doing. You know music, dude. All right, get it out there. Fantastic. You can get it out there.
And you ain't making a dime. You ain't making a cent.
That's right. You're not making a dime. And there's also all these other people doing the same thing that you're trying to distinguish yourself more than. So as I button all this, if you're a golfer, growing up, I mentioned, like, this is way before me. I'll be like Jack and Arnie. Growing up, it was pretty much an American game. It was obviously born in Scotland, and Ireland was very, very big. Now, of course, South Africa, going back to Gary Player back in the day, and Ernie Els, like South African has a very great golfing imprint. But now it's all over the world. I mean, what Tiger Woods did for the game of golf, not only for minorities, but for the world, right? Now to be a golfer, You're not just fending off the dude 5 states away that you're trying to beat, for the qualifier for some amateur event. You got to fend off so-and-so in Japan and everywhere, Australia, New Zealand, everywhere. So it's a lot harder. I think in a lot of ways, what Joe said is true. I agree with most of it. I just thought there was interesting context for somebody who was there and who grew up listening to the fan. You know what I'm saying there, Joe? J-Rod, you know what I mean?
No, big time. I feel like great expert fan analysis, and yeah, I mean it couldn't be any truer. And like you said, it's not at the fault of the fan. It's just times are changing.
Yeah. Because I do think, let's get that quote up. I'm going to start wrapping things up. Get the quote up there again, and then get me up the a few good texts about this, okay? One thing I don't want to do, and I'm sure some people do this, keep that up, is because, and I see it in the comments, like one game I don't play, I'm not interested. I've never gotten into radio beefs. I do what I do, and I respect what others do.
Yeah, see, I hate to say it. That's most of the comments I'm looking at right here.
All right. Well, I'm not going to put any of those up. That's not what I'm trying to do here, guys. I'm not about that. And if you notice where some of the comments, because I do react to a lot of the comments on Unleashed on the page there for the videos, and sometimes you take shots at people, and I always say, hey, keep it above board. I know those guys. I don't profess to be best friends with all of them, but I know them all, and I had good relationships with all. Fair, good enough, and I'm not going to get into that. So if it's about somebody and you're taking a shot at somebody, I'm not doing that. And if you do it on the YouTube page, I guess I can't prevent you from doing it. Same with Instagram, but I don't lean into it. I don't feed it. I'm worried about me. All right. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about this channel. I'm worried about us. Jim Rome would be a great convo here with BT. I don't know if Romey would do it. I know Jim, you can get that down. I know him a little bit. I saw him at a couple of Super Bowls. Always treated me well. Good guy, but I should still have his number. Yeah, I mean, maybe. The Fook your couch. Is that sort of a recency bias because you believe you can go back and be a star back then, but some of those older guys are having a real tough time adjusting to the newer mediums? No, what I'm saying is, no. Like, again, what I mean is, now I think I've done well. Okay, I've done well financially, and I've done well perceptually. And I do believe that I'm respected. I do. I know a lot of people don't like my style, but I do believe that I have carved out a respected existence in the world of sports talk. I firmly believe that. So what I mean by some of us being able, if we were transported back then, we would have had an easier chance to be a star. I mean the persona, because there weren't other people that to fend off. It's just the reality of it, man. Now, some people that are having a rough time transitioning that are older to the new medium. I mean, I can't really speak. I'm not 25 years old. I mean, so I guess I'm more of the older side than the younger side. And this is, I don't want to say it's easy because I'm not taking it for granted, but it was a very seamless transition. I can't speak to that. Like if you don't take the time to learn this, if you just denounce the new medium, you're going to die. You're going to die a death. Like nobody's going to watch you. Like you've got to be able to evolve there. So I don't really know what you meant by that, but either way, I appreciate it. MB_516. Radio and the RSNs are dying. Yeah, the regional sports networks are. Is there any way they end up merging into one? Realistically, or basically WFAN and Yes become the same thing when K, the only booth to the Yankees. You'd get your announcers for 162 in the playoffs. I don't know the answer to that. Listen, I gotta stand up for for SNY here. Now, obviously, I'm a Yankee fan. And I love it. I love watching, I love Kay. I love the announcers. Some I don't think are great, but some I love. But I think SNY does an outstanding job. I really do. There's just not a lot on during the day with Yes. I'm not watching Nets basketball. Not interested. When they get good, I'll check in on them. I'm not watching them now. And some of the other content, just not interested in on Yes. SNY does it. That's how I end my nights. Like I usually end up watching politics and watching sports night. By the way, I'm going to have Nikki Latarullo on the show. Big St. John's fan. And, she's younger and she's a massive St. John's fan. And she was, she covers the Big East. So I've seen her a lot. She came up to Providence last year for St. John's. We're trying to work something out. We were texting earlier and we're going to get on. I've got to see again. Now I'm traveling to California and we're going to leave tomorrow night. So I got to see what's going on. So She doesn't know if she's going out west yet, but we will try to get her on the channel here. She's up for it. It's going to make it happen. But SNY does a really good job. And, I worked at SNY. They don't pay well at all back then. They just don't. I don't know if it's changed, and it's not my job to judge, but I just know back then they did not pay at all, right? But they do a really good job. Like, they really bring you new, like, when I was young, MSG Sports Desk, like Bob Page and Crispino was on there. God, who else was it? Like, that was the way I got, like, my Knick highlights, the Rangers, Yankees. Like, SNY brings it. I love that. And that's how they differentiate themselves between, I think, certainly, yes. I mean, I really, truly enjoy SNY. I really do. I think that they do a good job. I remember texting Sal when I found out we were going to work together. I'm like, dude, I really like you on Baseball Night in New York. I really do. Do a good job. I watch it less now because my days are different, but I finish up with Sports Night, and I've known Eamon. Eamon does a good job, and I love JJ. JJ was next to me when Francesa almost killed me and drilled me with the golf ball. So JJ is a lunatic. I think Nikki's great. Who else is on there? I'm not trying to omit anybody, but they do a good job. They bring you St. John's. They bring you the Mets. They bring you the Yankees. They give you the Knicks. They give you the Jets. They give you the Giants. Connor's really good. The Jets coverage is great. I love it. So I think they're really doing a good job. How about this? At Zeke G 7681. What up there, Zeke? So, BT, would you ever agree to your name not being mentioned on a show, similar to how FAN treated Big Mac? Yeah, I could sit here and say, no, I would never put up with that. That's bullshit. Listen, C-Mac had to do it. He had to do it because that's his chance to jump into the mix, man. That's a seat at the big boy table. I get it. I really do. Carton's the star, and that's the way it goes. So I remember, now it was different because when I was with Stephen A, it was called the Stephen A. Smith Show, but and BT. And he would always start the show, my right-hand man, BT. Like, we were tight as hell, and we were boys, and our show was phenomenal. I always said, whatever, it doesn't mean anything. I always say that's the biggest mistake that 1050 ever made, breaking us up. Really. And not making it more of a, you could put him to be the star. I know, I got it, but give me a little bill in here. Now, I've got to put myself back in those shoes, like C-Mac's shoes, right? He's younger. He's talented. I like C-Mac. Chris is a good dude. Very good dude. I'm happy for him. And I texted him that when he got the job. Same with Sean. Same with those guys, right? And if I'm C-Mac and I'm doing overnights and I'm trying to get on the fan, and I think it's called the Carton Show. I'm not trying to be jerk. I honestly don't know. I think it's called the Carton Show with C-Mac. I think whatever it is, it's not like Craig and C-Mac or you got to do what you got to do to get in the door, man. And it's easy to be all brazen and tough. Oh, I would take what I could get. Like, that's just the honest answer. You think, like, I could sit here and lie and say, oh, I used to knock on management's door and say, how come it's not Stephen A. and BT? Honestly, because I was happy to have a job. I was making good money, and I was carving out a career. That's why. That's why you do it. So, I don't know if that's the perfect answer, but I understand why Chris did what he did, and I probably would have done the same thing. Now, I mean, did I, in hindsight, did I love, it didn't really bother me, like maybe a little ego play. You want to talk about like which name is first, like Tiki and Tierney? I mean, in my mind, it should have been BT and Tiki. Whatever. I didn't really care. BT and Sal. I mean, if they would have been like it's Sal and BT, I would have been like, huh. Not that I really would have cared, but only because I was there. Like, it doesn't. Are you on the air, man? Like, is your name in the show? And are you getting paid? And more importantly for Chris, are you getting a chance to expand how many people hear you? And you do what you got to do for your family, dude. By the way, here's the other thing too. The days of demanding, I want this, I need this, the contract, those days are over. They're not even negotiations. Let me tell you what happens at basically at these places. All right. Now, I'm sure it's different for Boomer, probably a little different for Gio. For most of us, right? It was, here's the contract offer, take it or leave it. Honestly, there's not even any negotiation. So at that point, I'm like, I don't even need it. I don't need an agent anymore for this. Why am I going to pay an agent a percentage when it's basically, here, this is what we want you. We think you're good. And we want to put you in the middays, but you were making this at the network, and they actually did the right thing. And, I was making very, very good money for a midday host. I know that for a fact. But that's probably one of the reasons why I'm gone. Like, fuck, it's too much for a midday guy. But there was no real negotiation. A little tick here, an extra week of vacation. That's it. That's radio now. Whereas when I am negotiating our sponsorship with Sullivan Papane, it's our first sponsor, and we've got more coming. That's why Sullivan will always be number one. I mean, they jumped into YouTube, they jumped into Unleashed, and they said, I believe in you. Here's X amount of money. And it wasn't, we had to negotiate that. So it is different, whether your name's on the show or whether you want this per year, but they're offering this. The days of demanding anything, it's just over. Trust me. On WFAN. I'm not saying like for some of these big TV shows and other outlets. I'm talking about conventional terrestrial radio. You're not demanding anything. You're just not. And if you are, you ain't gonna be around. Let's see. At Sean B 50D. Until you guys get a hard phone line, why not use Discord? It's free, calls are clear, no drops, and a really good service. Just a thought. All right, J-Rod, let's get on that, buddy. You can't get on me with this behind the scenes mumbo jumbo. What Discord? I don't even know what that is. I know what it means, Discord, but what does he mean? Discord?
No, Discord. It's it's similar to this platform. This and Skype.
Oh, all right, there you go. Yeah, well, then we'll figure it out. The new way. Hey, we're gonna get some calls here. Let's just plug this cord into the wall, see if it works. It's this. Let's bring it to the Discord phone line. We're trying to figure this out here, right? Yeah. But Discord. Get on that, J-Rob. Let's go. Keep these texts pumping. I know people love this stuff. Let's go.
All right. This would be awesome.
Let me see here. Hold on. At Rod Power 78. All right. I will continue to pound the table for SNY to do an outdoor show with BT and Sal and JJ. The comedy would be off the charts, especially with the prospects of Sal being scared shitless. Why would he be scared?
I don't know. Who knows with the outdoors? Maybe he's just
outdoors.
Like they're saying, like if you guys did like a man versus wild type show, you, Sal, and JJ.
An outdoor show.
An outdoor. Yeah.
What do you want us to do? Go wrestle bears and try to tie alligator? What are we? Outdoor show. I mean, I would be scared too at that. And, so when I was shooting that man versus bear show on Discovery, I was terrified. I'll never forget. Now, they were Hollywood bears for whatever that means. Sure. Oh, no, they're tame. They're Hollywood bears. I'm just like, oh, Hollywood. Okay, great. And I remember when we had to shoot the promo. Now, I was the host, all right, along with my other guy. He was like the behavioral biologist for bears. What a Casey, what a wild man. He was great. Casey, shout out, bro. Love you. We had so much fun, dude. My God. We're in Utah shooting this show I was there about a month in a hotel. It was wild. What a great experience. Anyway, when we had to shoot the promos, like, because you would see this on Discovery, coming up this week on Man versus Bear, right? There were times where I actually had to stand there and say, coming up. I mean, I wouldn't say it like that. The voice guy would, but I would be there and I'd say, coming up on this coming up next on Man versus Bear. Freaking bear would be behind me.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's
not in a cage, dude. Not in a cage.
Crazy.
And they had people on set with rifles in case something happened. You know how fucking unnerving it is to have to look into a camera and with a bear behind you? I know that you got rifles. And I know you're not going to miss because it's basically like the National Guard, whatever the heck they were. Wow.
No, that's terrifying. A live bear in the flesh.
I was never so scared in my life, dude. Never.
Well, I mean, one thing goes wrong.
And I just kept going like this. I was trying to, you can actually hear him making these noises. And I don't mean he was 30 feet behind me. He was 10, 12 feet behind me.
Holy
And it was a big, real bear. I got a funny story for you, really quick aside, and get some more text up there about what we're talking about. I was in, so I shot, let's see. I was still doing the show with Tiki. So we're doing the national show. I was working so hard. That was awesome. And I'm on set like 10 hours a day. I mean, you think it's easy, but it's cut after cut after cut after cut after cut after take after take after take. And we're up there, like we had to be in our trailers. I remember we had a trailer. And it said, my name. It said BT on it with the star. I'm like, oh yeah, boy, we made it, right? And I remember we had an off day, I'm such an idiot, man. So I really, I just laugh at the stuff that I did. So I'm still doing the show with CBS, which doing the national show with Tiki and TV component. So a little tricky to get out and just be, hey, I'm going to Utah for a month, which I did. Can I, take a week's vacation and still piece together and do some shows? They were awesome. Like Eric Spitz, who runs Sirius now, and Cherney, and all my bosses. I had an agent back then. Like, they had to work really hard. So anyway, again, long story short. So I'm driving from, where the hell were we? We weren't in Provo. We were in, it's called Eber. I think the H sounds like an E. Heber, Eber, Utah. Okay. And they got me a TV station to go and do the show with Tiki every day in Salt Lake City. So I'm driving. I'm on the air shooting. I'm there at 4 a.m. Again, not complaining. It was awesome. Doing the show, Man versus Bear.
Yeah.
Going back to the hotel, changing, taking a shower, getting in my car. Now, of course, I have to rent a white convertible Mustang, like a cloud. What the hell I thought I was, like the 80s, like the Ginzo from Brooklyn. Like I gotta, so I have I'm treating myself. I'm making good money doing the show, man. Not life-changing money, but good money. I'm getting myself a freaking white drop top 5.0. Man. And I did. And I had it for a month, right? And I'm driving. So I do, and I'm driving to Salt Lake, back into the top down mountains, absolutely gorgeous, man. So one day we have off. I said I've never been so scared when the bear was behind me. This is the other time. I really don't think I've ever been as I honestly thought I didn't know what was going to happen. This is a true story. Mm-hmm. So it was like a Wednesday. It was a dark day. I'm like, I'm going for a ride. And my wife came to visit me for like a week. Kids were too young, like a week, but she wasn't there yet. So I'm like, I have an off day. I'm like, I don't think playing golf, whatever. I'm just going for a ride. And I drove up this massive mountain, take my shirt off. I'm driving. I got the Stones playing, rag top, right? I'm going up the mountain. I'm going high, man. I think it was like, I might. So those of you who hike, don't hold me to the number. Just trust me. It was really high, and it really high. And as I'm driving, I'm like, this is awesome, man. I'm looking around. This is phenomenal. My God, look at God's country. Look how high we are. I get to the top. And I'm like, wait a second. I got to get down. How am I going to get down?
Oh my gosh.
How am I going to get down? And when I tell you that hand to Bible, it was the width of the road there wasn't a lot of extra room. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I started getting a little afraid of heights. This was the final, like, you are officially scared of heights, buddy. I remember when we went zip lining on our honeymoon in Costa Rica. I'm like, this is great. I didn't really, as I got, and that was in 2010, around the mid-20s, I'm 2015 or so, a little nervous of heights. Anyway, I'm looking down. Now, not only is it narrow,
yeah,
Jared, when I tell you, it's one way.
Oh, my gosh.
Dude. There's barely enough room for 2 cars, God, dude.
Dude.
I'm actually I'm getting anxiety thinking about this now.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting nervous thinking about this now. So as much as I'm enjoying the ride, I get to the top. I'm like, all right, and I'm like, wait, I'm thinking there's going to be like I don't know what I'm thinking is going to be up there, like a parking lot where I could do a cake turn and just come down. I'm freaking the fuck out, man. I am beyond terrified. I'm actually praying to God. True story. I'm praying. I look down and it's just vast wilderness. It's trees. God. I am above the tree lines by hundreds of yards.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, I don't have enough room to navigate this thing. I have no service. I was going to call the park ranger or a helicopter. I really didn't know that. I'm like, now this is where I really got scared. I'm like, all right, dude. And oh man, I'm really getting anxiety thinking about this. I'm like, what if a wild animal runs at me and I fall off the mountain?
Oh my God.
What the fuck am I gonna do? This is what I'm thinking about when I'm off the mountain. Like I'm all I'm thinking about is my children and my wife.
Oh man.
I am praying to my maker. I am praying. And because I'm deathly scared to stand near the ledge, I'm on my knees.
Oh my God.
Or door. I was paralyzed with fear. I could not move.
I'm
like, call the park ranger. No services, I said. I'm like, you got to get the fuck out of here. You have to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I turn the car, and as I'm doing this, I slowly do it. And now, so I give enough room for another car to come through.
Yeah.
Okay. Going up was the easy part. Reversing the car to come down was tricky. Actually coming down was the worst part.
I mean, I'm sure.
The worst, right? I'm sitting there. I was crying, like I'm crying to myself. I'm like, then I'm like, because I'm saying to myself, what if like a moose, not a moose, not moose all the way up there. Moose, they're terrifying. What if a bear, really, or like a werewolf, not a werewolf, coyote, or something runs at me and I got nowhere to go, and he attacks me and I fall, or if I try to move away and I fall, I'm
You're
thousands of feet, I'm dead, and I don't think anybody would find me. Right?
Yeah.
All I'm thinking is my kids. And so, oh my God, I'm actually getting nervous now. Think about it. So finally, I turn the car and I'm holding the steering wheel like this. And I see, now there's enough room for the car to get. I'm like, somebody please come. Just somebody please come. Somebody has to come. And then I see a car, two old guys. They were old, right? When I say old, I don't like in their 70s. They were like my age. They were like 75, 60.
Wow.
Yeah, just driving slow, laughing, talking. One guy's holding a cigar. I look at myself. I go, all right, you got to fucking man up, man. You can't be a wuss. Like, if these two dudes who are, then again, if I was 80, I don't think I'd care as much about dying.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? That's not how I would want to go. But I'm like, if these guys are doing it, you better figure out a way to get down this mountain, bro. And because they were in front of me, I felt like I could go really, really slow.
Mm-hmm.
I finally got down, and when I got to the base, they were at the base. There was like a little railing where I knew I was now safe. Got down, I pulled down. I actually got out of the car on normal flat ground and got on my knees and prayed and thanked God. I honestly thought I was
beautiful. No, that's great. Would you say that was like some of the most relief you've ever felt in your life when you hit that base of the mountain?
Without question. Without question. Without question. I don't even know what a close second is. I mean, in hindsight, like I could look back at the time. I got in a car accident really bad my senior year in high school.
I remember you talking about that.
I wasn't driving, and it was two kids, young kids doing stupid stuff. We crashed at 108 miles an hour.
Whoa.
Yeah. I don't really talk about that too much, but of course, that's my way of saying God had a plan for you, to be a dad, to be a husband, like he spared you. I mean, by every account, should not have walked away from that car accident. Just should not have. The car was a mangled mess, literally. I can't even think about it. That's a different level of like, wow. But in the moment, because it happened so fast, like the car accident, knock on wood.
It's different.
It's different. It's different because I was by myself. And nobody was near me. I'm not in my element. Like there's animals, and all I hear is oh. I hear these eagles. Like these. I honestly thought it was over, man, and I couldn't even call my wife.
And it has such a long build-up of just like, oh my god, oh my god.
Like, yo, it would have been bad enough if there was a guardrail and I still had to go down.
Yeah.
But the fact that I had to manipulate the car, now obviously there was enough space to do like the broken K-turn or whatever the hell I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even think about it anymore. I got to move on from that because it was not good. It was not good. Get some text up there before I start rolling.
Crazy. Let's see. Okay, here's an interesting one. I just checked out his channel as well. Oh wait, hold on. Here's a hilarious one first. Dang, dude, too many comments to go through.
That's all
BT,
right.
you need to show some range and do a spot on MS Now with Rachel Maddow.
Is she still on?
I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, I'm not super hip to all of that. So
yeah. Well, listen. It's funny you say that. So that's from Withdrew. Yeah, on MS. Okay, so I've been on Fox a few times, right? My buddy Jimmy Fallon, who I've become pretty good friends with, wildly talented comedian, awesome, right? So it started where we got an email to the account of Unleashed here, and actually, let me take a step back. There was a point about, I want to say about, I guess it was right around COVID. So I'm talking about 5-6 years ago. You know Jesse Waters? I don't know if you do, from Fox.
If I saw a picture, I would.
You know, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So Jesse Waters' people reached out to me. I don't know. It may have been, honestly, it may have been the Kaepernick stuff. I don't recall. It wasn't to talk about Yankees free agency. Put it that way. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not gonna. I know the association with Fox, much like the association with CNN and MS. Like which way these outlets lean, right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just, especially the sensitivity to the topic, right? I'm not gonna do that. And they asked they asked me a couple times, and I turned it down, right? And when we launched this, the people of Jimmy Fallon reached out. And they're like, no, I'm sorry. First, it was Brian Kilmeade's people. Great guy. Kilmeade, really cool. Producer, really big fan of the station. Big St. John's guy. Good dudes, right? So they wanted to do a youth sports segment. And I've done some content on here. And a lot of people know I coach and all that stuff, right? Coach the kids. And I went on. It's not about politics, right? But obviously, being on Fox, there's an association, pro-Trump, right-wing, right? And I don't talk about politics because I don't think it's beneficial to me. I don't think that you guys follow me for this reason. I know you don't. And I don't want to hear your opinions on politics, which is why, and this went pretty viral, I was basically telling everybody in my field, guys, dial it down. Nobody gives a shit who you voted for, and nobody wants to hear you take shots or prop people up, like the gratuitous shots. Now, like not when you're talking about Aaron Boone, and then the next shot is a knock, at Trump or pro-Trump or at Biden. What are we doing, man, right?
Yeah.
So, but given the sensitivity to that, a lot of people who follow me, and knew that I was going on Fox, like, oh, why? And some people loved it because they're pro Fox. Some people like, how could you go on that horrible network? I get it. I said, hey, I'm going on youth sports, right? And that's what I talked about. And then Jimmy Fallon's people invited me, and I've been on twice. He's got a national radio show that's simulcast, and first to have the Super Bowl. And by the way, I nailed the score. To the point and to the point spread. Yes, I've won a lot of people a lot of money. So I was on with Jimmy there, and then they asked me back. It went really well. We talked about nothing about politics. So I say this because if they invited me on, I'd go on. Like, to me, I've said a few times, say if there's a trade that the Yankees and the Mets could make that would benefit the Yankees and benefit the Mets, benefit the Mets, why would you not do it? Like, why? Because, the Yankees and the Mets can't make a deal. It's not good for business. The perception, blah, blah, blah. If I'm on one outlet that espouses a certain, tone towards politics, but I'm not talking politics, but it's a massive platform to talk about something important like youth sports and the decaying nature and the pressures and the economic costs. Why am I not doing that? Same thing if Rachel or CNN reached out. They just haven't reached out. So yeah, I would go.
You gotta use every platform you can in this world.
There's a few people I wouldn't go on with, but yeah,
I'll leave it
at that. Yeah. What else you got?
Would love if BT linked up with CP and do an episode together. Could have it simulcasted on both KFTV and BT's channel.
Who's CP?
He's CP from Knicks Fan TV. I don't know if you've ever watched his channel.
Oh, the CP the franchise?
I think so.
Is that who you're talking about?
This guy.
Yeah, right? He's got a good channel.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of subs. Yeah,
he's got a great channel.
I don't know him.
So yeah, I feel like that would be really cool.
I think he took a shot once at me and Sal.
Really?
I think so. When we were on, he was on with Evan and Tiki, I think. And me and Sal were like, dude, Evan and Tiki, how the fuck you guys why didn't you stand up first, man? Like, it wasn't a vicious shot. I forget what it was. But me and Sal, I remember talking to Sal about it. I'm like, what? How are you letting this happen here? I don't even know. It may have been about Carl Banks. I don't even know. Yeah, no, they put out good content. I know he's a big Knicks guy. I haven't met him. Listen, I'm all for.
Yeah, there's a good few people saying that would be great.
Listen, get it to him. I don't know him.
Yeah,
I would do some collabs. I'm definitely going to do some collabs. I know we are. I would do it. Absolutely, man. 100%. Have some fun with that. What else you got? Anything else?
Just on the Bear show, is it? Because I'd love to see this too. Is it possible to see like you on whatever man versus bear?
Yes.
Demand. Okay, it's still possible.
Yes. Hold on. I'm gonna pull something up on my phone here. Oh yeah, it's 100% there. Man versus bear Discovery. You know what sucks about that too? Now listen, I made a couple of bucks. It was an amazing experience. Hold on, man versus bear. Wait to see one of the promo pictures. It was wild, dude. I mean, I hate to Google my own name. I don't even know if this will pop up here. Hang on.
Well, one of the like classic Brandon Tierney promo images is that picture. Is the man versus bear? One of you, kind of with the grimace going down.
Oh, here's one. So here's one, right? So we were. Hang on. So yeah, you can see that right there. You can see that right there. Right, man versus bear on set.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the crazy thing too is that we let me see if I can actually get the this one. Jesus. I look like
let me see it.
I look like such a I just look like a complete douche in this picture, don't I?
Yeah,
I'm in the mountains. I'm in the mountains of Utah wearing like this construction shirt.
Oh, that's sick.
I know, that was a good one. This one was us on the set with some of the competitors.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm just Googling stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it was it was fun. This was the actual image of this is not me. This is framed. That's in my man cave. That's a pretty badass promo. That's what was on Discovery.
Dude,
yeah.
Super badass.
Yeah. Sick. So the crazy thing about that is that it started out really well. Like the way these go, the way you make money. And again, I made pretty good money doing it. Not life-changing money, but it was really good. It was good. But the way you make real money, life-changing money, is now for a second season to get picked up, right? So I remember we had a big watch party at my home here. My parents came, kids were little. We had like this big, Jen got like a bear cake. We had like this big bear theme. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And we're watching it. And the next day the ratings come out. We did well. We either tied or beat Tucker Carlson from Fox. Now, whether you love Tucker or hate Tucker, Tucker was a ratings machine at Fox. It really was.
Oh,
the monster, right? And we may have even been a slot higher, right? Or I forget exactly, but we got the ratings, and the executives were thrilled, right? And then, if I recollect correctly, the impeachment proceedings with Trump took off. With Trump took off, right? And now, think about it. Instead of watching some mindless bear try to rip people in half, people are going to pay attention to what's going on in the world.
Of course, yeah.
And then week 2, we went from a really high our first show to 5 slots lower,
sure.
A little lower, a little lower. And then the network execs were like, you know what? We're going to, I think maybe say it was on a Wednesday night. I don't think it was. But say it was on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to put it on Saturday now. Once you start changing days around, it's over.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I've never done a show like that, so I'm like, oh, maybe Saturday would be better. I'm thinking it's going to be good. But you basically buried it saying it ain't working. I don't know, and I'll never know the answer to it. But if it would have made, if Trump doesn't get impeached and the proceedings aren't taking away everybody's attention on a night, which is more important than a bear show, I get it. If it wasn't diverting eyeballs to other channels and more important things in the world, maybe your boy would have a few more bucks in the account because season 2 would have come, and that's where you make money. That's where you make real money. So we'll never know. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm checking it out then.
All right, man. You gotta check it out. No, it's pretty wild. Like some of the things that they tried to do were amazing. Let's see. Anything else here? Give me like 1 or 2 more. I got to roll.
All right. Let's see. BT, you should collab with. I know I got to roll too. You should collab with NYY Underground and Bad Dog Sports, both great Yankee channels. Not familiar with either of those channels, but definitely will check them out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, here's the thing, guys. I appreciate that, and I'm definitely open to these collabs. There's no doubt. I'll have a little fun with this, but I'm not going to go begging. I mean, so if you guys, I don't know some of these channels because I'm still fairly. I know that CP's thing on the Knicks. I know that's got a big following. I don't know that Yankee one. No disrespect, but like if there's somebody that you want to see me with, reach out to them and tell them to reach out to me. I'll do it. I've got to do my homework and my research. I've got to make sure it's a viable outlet, and I'm sure that those. I know that the Knicks one is. I'm sure the Yankees is. But whatever. Mason Miller has stones. Had the challenge system been in effect, it would have been a ball and runners on first and third. Think that was a ball, huh? Yeah. What else we got here? Oh, the Jason Statham vibes with that Utah mountain picture. Yeah, people said that about him. That looked like him a little bit. All right. Is there one more? Anything about the Beningo stuff there? That was really interesting.
Let's see. I mean, a lot of them were like those super chats we got to. Let's see. There might be a good one. Go back. Let's see. I don't know if we read this one. Less competition back then, vying for our attention. The golden age is over. Joe is right. I don't know. Do we go over that one?
Holy shit! I've got like 13 text messages here.
From
Busy
what?
day. I don't know.
Just a bunch of stuff.
It looks like my old boss Hurley, who's a great guy at the Fan, asked me if I wanted to jump on with Evan and Tiki Friday, talk some Johnnies. Yeah, I'll do it. Of course, absolutely.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'll talk some Johnnies and then I'll take over.
Let's
Nice
go.
Evan and Tiki. Anyway, go ahead. So where were we, FAN? Back to my last show.
Yeah,
no, I'll jump on with those guys and talk. I told
wait,
you I had a good relationship.
Would that be remote or would that be in New York?
No, man, I'm going to be in San Diego. You knucklehead. They're playing Friday.
I'm an idiot.
St. John's is playing Friday night. I mean, I've got. Let me see. I don't want to divulge everything. Let's see. I've got text messages from Nikki Lattarulo. I told you we're trying to get her on the show. So, it looks like she's going to go. All right, I got to get that taken care of. Got something from Minko. Got something from Travel for a lot of St. John stuff. Wow.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Got something from Sal saying, get on it, J-Rock. I text him, like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to figure out doing this shit on the road. He's like, as I was texting with Sal this morning, he's like, get on it, J-Rod. That's your responsibility. I agree. Wow. I mean, you got a lot of texts. I got a lot of stuff to do here. My goodness. Do you have one more text that we could do? I think I could.
Yeah, here. Wait, this is my boy. This is actually a pretty good one.
This is your boy, huh?
Yeah, from Josh Gaba. Shout out Lower East Side. BT, Judge was quoted saying that WBC is bigger and better than the World Series.
I'm going to need evidence of that statement.
Yeah, wait, let me find
I'm going to need some evidence. I'm not taking that. And I'd have to know the context there. So, I mean, there is now if he does, then
2 hours ago, yeah.
Then I'm going to have to crush him. I'm not getting
Aaron
to it
Judge
now.
says, though, WBC has become baseball's biggest stage, speaking after the 7-2 or said after a 2-1 semifinal win over the Dominican Republic. The passion these fans have representing their country. All right, this is a little different. Representing some of their players, there's nothing like it. Let me see, though. True. That's different.
There's no way that he's saying that. Listen, here's the only thing that would bother me, and I know he wouldn't say this. If Aaron Judge said winning the WBC is more important than winning the World Series, I would absolutely destroy Aaron. I would destroy Aaron Judge. There's no way he's even remotely implying that.
AP was kind of reaching.
You think? Let me get clicks here. Oh, come on. There's no way Aaron Judge is going to say that. He better not say that. No way. I mean, he's talking about the pageantry and the pride in your country and the energy. And there is more energy in the WBC. As nutty as Yankee Stadium is, the last World Series, Yankees-Dodgers, it's crazier. Come on, it's more frenetic. It's different. It's like a soccer.
Okay, he did say, I take it back. I don't
want to hear this.
The World Series I was in, the crowd we had when we played against Mexico, it's bigger and better than the World Series.
That's not what, that doesn't bother me, though.
Different.
Thank you. That's why I said let's get some research before we start taking down number 99, and there's no reason to do that. That's his opinion. He's the one who's playing in it. He's the one who feels it. I got no problem with it. Now, I might read some other stuff later on, which might have a little bit of a problem tomorrow. But so if that's the case, we shall see. I got to wrap it up, man. I really got a lot of stuff.
I got a bike to work, bro.
Damn. Did we go 2.5 hours today?
Yes, this is easily the longest.
Oh, man, definitely. Hey,
good stuff.
Listen, BT's a man of the people. I'm here for you.
Yes, sir. We got it. Right? And also, not to get too meta here, but I'll say we kept a great audience the entire way through.
Love it. Absolutely.
So that's big. Thank you to everyone watching. And I even saw some new regulars in today. Nice. So I appreciate it, y'all. Thanks for watching. Obviously just hit a milli. Let's keep this train rolling.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of milli, why don't you get that little graphic we cooked up? We cooked up the other day. Yeah, we hit a milli. That's right. Keep it up. Like if you would have given me that, think about this. I would have been, if I didn't know what was going on and somebody just handed me this picture like three months ago, right? Or 4 months ago, I'd be like, what in the world? What happened? What's going on? But it's made a lot of sense. And hey, there are massive mountains to climb. Hopefully no mountains like the one in Utah where I did lose my shit.
Good
but
call. That was like professional comedian stuff right there. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yep. So that is nice, man. 1 million eventually becomes 2 and so on and so forth. I need you guys to like it, subscribe it, get that traction out. When you see the short, share them up. That's how we will continue to build out this channel. I'm here for you every day at 10. I'll figure something out on the road. I'll do the show tomorrow because I believe we're flying out tomorrow night with St. John. So I'll be working tomorrow. I'll update you all that with all that stuff. Hopefully, Nikki Latarullo tomorrow. She was a St. John's fan as a kid. She's been covering the Johnnies. We'll have some fun with her. Looks like she's traveling out west as well. So we'll bring it all to you, man. I can't wait to get out to San Diego. Hopefully the Johnnies go deeper than they did a year ago. The WBC stuff was very good today. Awesome. Just basically every inning was like a little teeny tiny signature moment. Big at bat, high leverage, guys getting thrown out on the bases, big strikeouts, big home runs. Awesome night watching baseball. And now the United States has to finish the job. And of course, the stuff that Joe said about the fans. So long time today, 2.5 hours. Enjoyed it. To your day. Appreciate you guys hopping on and providing support for the channel. Again, like it, subscribe. We're back tomorrow at 10. You have a great Monday. Peace.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney.